Well guys, we are back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, episode 112. And what are today's topics?
Jill Stein gets humiliated by Mehdi Hasan and then enrages Dumb Dumb Leftists by calling Putler a war criminal. Trump is anti-Semitic. Black Nazi governor is a weirdo. Republicans going Klansmen over Haitians. Nintendo sues Palo World. Pal World, not Palo World. I don't know why I keep saying Palo World. And CNN incites violence against Rashida Tlaib.
Alright, so what do we talk about first?
Let's do the two Jill Stein topics first.
What if I told you there was going to be the third one about their meltdown and harassment of AOC, but I figured that's been so long ago, we've already had like two topics involved her, we don't need to have like a third of this, like half this episode talking about her. So of course, for all of you that don't know, Jill Stein, of course, is running for the Green Party for president. She's ran multiple times, and of course, I actually voted for her in 2016. But of course, she has really been a dumb dumb leftist. Well, who am I kidding me? She probably was a dumb dumb leftist the entire time, but she just wasn't that bad in my eyes compared to like previous times and all that. So of course, she went on Mehdi Hasan's program. Who's a base journalist? One of the few African journalists.
Did you see his debate with that Zion Nazi scumbag? I can't remember his name. He absolutely dog walked him.
I only saw someone posted the video. I can't remember which progressive it was. I watched a little bit of that, and only like a few minutes of it, so I didn't get to see the rest of it yet. So hopefully we'll get checking on it later, but we know he will because we saw what he did to Jill Stein recently, and oh god, it was so infuriating as a former voter of her. So of course, the biggest problem with Jill Stein is, on most issues I probably would agree with her and probably would have voted for her, but she's wrong on like one issue, and it's so important, that's the Russo-Ukraine war. She wants Ukrainians to die and all that. And that was like something that I usually go after Green Party idiots recently about, because like I brought up, we were going to possibly do a third topic, but didn't do it, about them harassing AOC because she went after them. And they kept saying, she supports genocide for wanting to support the Democrats and all that. Guys, you support someone who doesn't want to support Ukrainians against a Russian Nazi state. So you're just as a cahoots with genocide as you accuse her of, and me.
And don't forget, it's not just the Christian Nazis of groups like Wagner and that, but also the Chechen Islamic Nazis.
Got a good counter, and they rage and mauled every time, as you've seen over the last few weeks on Twitter when I deal with them.
Oh, yes, they have. They're mad as shit.
So, yeah, really bad on this, and Mehdi Hasan went after her on this. And he brought up, you call Netanyahu a war criminal, but you won't call Putin and Assad a war criminal. And of course, oh god, she fucked up so badly, it was embarrassing. I was screaming and yelling the entire time when I first saw it. It's like a simple thing to say, and she just would not do it. It was embarrassing. Let's watch, and you'll get to hear me rage like a maniac as a former voter of her too.
This is gonna be interesting. Oh god.
So Mehdi Hasan sat down for an interview with...
Oh yeah, and gee, I wonder why MSDNC fired him. Because he's based?
Yep.
Because he's actually does his job?
Yep.
And also maybe because we know for reality too, because he's a Muslim?
Yep.
MSDNC being Islamophobic again?
With Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein on his new outlet Zeteo, and I believe
he was able to come back after being fired.
Paywalled at the moment,
so
we don't have access to the full.
Like we destroyed that
full thing for
Chinese
you. I would actually love to watch the full thing because I think they probably had a really great back and forth, and it got really heated and really interesting. Now, having said that, there are like little snippets that came out. And this is the one that seemingly went viral that everybody's talking about. Mehdi is basically going to press Jill Stein here on her view on Netanyahu and compare it to her view on Vladimir Putin.
And also Assad, too.
Kind of hold her feet to the fire a little bit. Let's watch and we'll break it down.
You haven't done that many posts specifically calling out Russian attacks on civilian areas. You haven't called Vladimir Putin a war criminal, but you have called Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal.
No, actually we did. Yeah. In my very first remarks about the Ukraine war, we condemned...
Vladimir Putin's a war criminal in your view.
Yes, we did
and Bashar al-Assad's a war criminal.
Yes, in so many words, yes.
Stein.
In so many words.
Assad is a war criminal. It's not hard to say.
It's
Just
not
say
that
yes.
hard. Just
Yes,
say
yes,
yes.
yes. It's easy.
Yes, 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 yes,
So-
yes,
Called
yes.
Netanyahu one, which I think he is.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
is Putin a war criminal?
So what we said about Putin was that his invasion of Ukraine is criminal. It's a criminal and murderous war.
And he's
Well,
a
it's
war criminal
America's fault, don't you know?
Yeah, of course it
who
did.
should be on trial.
Well, by implication.
You're struggling here.
But-
to
Jill,
make it very simple.
yes,
This is
come
why
but-
people
on.
say that
Just
Yeah.
say yes.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not
Netanyahu
hard.
war
Why is it that you
Exactly.
can say? Why is it you can say Netanyahu is a war criminal, but you can't say Putin is? Well, hedging on it. Why is it so
I have
hard?
no
You're able to say
idea.
Netanyahu so easily. Oh, come on.
Well, but not Vladimir Putin.
Well, as John F. Kennedy said, we must
Yeah.
not be afraid to. We must not negotiate out of fear, and we must not fear to negotiate. So, if you want to be an effective world leader, you don't start by name calling and hurling
So how will-
epithets.
But then why?
Oh, what the fuck?
Stein, then why does it not matter to you if you insult Netanyahu by calling him a war criminal? I guess by that logic, he doesn't want to negotiate either because you hurt his feelings. Boo-hoo!
Yeah.
You think he cares and Putin cares? They don't. Nor should it matter. If they're war criminals, that's just the reality of it. Again,
Yeah.
you would not say the same thing about Netanyahu, but you say something different about Putin. It makes no sense.
President
Yeah.
Stein negotiate with Israel then if you call
Exactly.
Netanyahu a war criminal?
Well, because he very clearly is a
Oh, so
war.
Putin.
Yeah, Netanyahu is a war criminal. So is Putin. Why is it so hard to say it?
Clearly isn't. a
Oh
war
my
criminal.
Well,
God.
we
No
don't have a decision,
clue.
put it this way, by the International Criminal Court.
Yes, we do.
On,
Yes,
for
actually,
his arrest.
actually, you're wrong. There's an
Oh,
arrest
and
warrant for
the-
Putin.
for
There
the-
isn't yet an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. So
Yeah.
why is Putin not a war criminal, but Netanyahu is?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me say this. We are sponsoring that war. We are sponsoring
That's our
Netanyahu.
war.
He is our dog.
I mean, that's true, but that still doesn't change the fact that Putin's
Exactly,
a war
yeah.
criminal. It shouldn't be that hard to
In
talk
this
about.
fight. That is why we have a
Yeah.
responsibility
No disagreement
to
from
pull
me at
him
all,
back.
but that
With
does not
Russia,
answer
it's-
my question.
With Russia,
Thank you,
it's
Mehdi.
far more
Exactly,
complicated.
Mehdi. It doesn't answer the
Or you're
question.
not. Is
Actually-
Vladimir
Come
Putin a war
on.
criminal?
In so many words, yes.
Stein!
I don't know what so
Come
many words are, but
on!
say
Just
did
say
so
it!
many words.
Whatever you think
Seriously,
he is.
just
You
a
want-
simple yes or no question.
not
Come
hard.
on.
Now, how do you think I feel as a voter of hers in 2016?
Yeah.
You've got a lot of
Him
right to
back.
ask what you
Well,
think.
if
You're running
you,
for president.
if you
Come
are a
on.
world leader, you don't begin your conversation by calling someone a war criminal.
Yes,
you
you
just
do.
called Netanyahu
Yes,
war
you
criminal and you
do.
didn't care.
Yes, you
What is
do.
the hypocrisy?
Yes, you do.
Where's the double standard? Why is it wrong to call Putin a war criminal but not Netanyahu? Why?
Unless
So why
you
have you called
are-
Biden and Netanyahu war criminals?
Because we have a clear strategy, and we
Doesn't
have a
make any
very
Idiotic
strong
strategy.
support
Is
across the
Bashar
world
al-Assad and Vladimir
community.
Putin war criminals?
Damn. Look,
Thank you,
this is what
Mehdi.
Mehdi does.
Thank you.
Mehdi, no matter who he's
Hey.
interviewing, he's going to hold their feet to the fire, and he smells a little bit of weakness and a contradiction in
That
Jill
was
Stein's worldview,
pathetic.
and he's trying to basically
Yeah.
snuff it out and lay it bare right in front of her, and he's
Indeed,
like, hey,
guys, now you see
reconcile
why
this.
MSDNC
Reconcile
fired
this. So
Mehdi.
look, the question is,
Yep,
Because he's too
because
good.
he's a good
you call
person.
Netanyahu a war criminal, you call
Because
Joe
he's a
Biden
good
a war criminal, is
person.
Putin a war criminal? And to be fair, she says yes. There's a little bit of equivocating, and there's the international.
Oh, that wasn't a little equivocating, Kyle. That was a lot of equivocating.
More like a
whatever you
lot.
call him.
That was way
But
unacceptable.
yeah,
now.
he kind of is a war criminal,
Yeah.
but when
It was
dealing
nuts,
with
and not in a
adversaries,
good way.
Like, and you know what, Jill? Because I'm sure you know, because you've been called this since 2016 that you're Putin's puppet and all that. Just so you know, this does not help your accusations whatsoever. It actually reinforces it. If you really didn't
Yeah.
want to be accused of being Putin's puppet, whatever, you really should have said yes. Like, it's so simple
Yeah.
and easy, but you wouldn't do it.
you
Oh my
want to
gosh.
put your best foot forward
Like, I can't
and
even
be
really
open
defend you on
to
that
the
topic
idea
now
of
because
peace
you
and
fucked
negotiation.
up
and,
so badly.
So look, what's my take on it? Well, you have to say yes to both. You have to say yes to both
Yeah,
because
exactly.
facts and the truth have to override
When
whatever
Kyle, of
your,
all people, is
you know,
right compared to
ideological
you, Jill.
predispositions
Ooh.
are.
Yeah.
Whatever framework
and
of
you
the
know
world
that he's an
you wanna
American
use,
diabolist, and he
for your
actually hates
ideological purposes.
America.
It has to be secondary,
At least on the
to
world
actual
stage.
reality. And look, keep it real. I don't know if Jill Stein falls under this category, but there are plenty of people on the left and on the anti-interventionist right, like the libertarians, who their worldview is, if it's the U.S. or our allies, let's be very, very harshly critical and look into every nook and cranny and break it down as to how we're horrible and we're bad and we've done terrible things, etc., and we commit war crimes, etc. But when it comes to our enemies, it's, we got to be nuanced, we got to be understanding, we got to be reasonable, we got to see it from their perspective. And at the end of the day, a lot of the commentary does sort of feel like it boils down to us and our allies bad, our enemies good. Right,
and
it's
yeah,
sort of
she
like
is in that category.
It's
Which
sort
we're
of
going to be
like
seeing
the
in the next
exact.
topic.
Yep.
It's like flipping the neocon
which
worldview.
Kyle kind
The
of is
neocon
as well.
worldview is the
He's
U.S. and our
like,
allies
yeah.
good. Full stop. We're good. Our intentions are good. We mean well. If we can
Mainly because he loves piracy.
Oh yeah, and also I love Kyle's term for these people, reverse neocons. Kyle, it's American Diabolist, pal, which you partly are too.
Count for reasons X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
And our enemies bad.
Yes.
And dissect what they do 1,000 times to Sunday, call them war criminals, break
Or if
down
you wanna
every
be
little
funny, dumb,
thing,
dumb
and get
leftists.
into every nook and cranny, etc.
Yes.
And so they really inverted the
But me
neocon
and Vosh
worldview,
beat you on the
where
titles.
it's like America bad, our allies
exactly.
bad, and all of the enemies.
Bum
Let's be
leftists.
nuanced, let's be reasonable, let's look for the best in them, let's soften our rhetoric so that we can have diplomatic negotiations. And I understand that worldview, but again, the most important thing is you got to put the facts first. And Putin's invasion of Ukraine is a crime. It's a crime. And all of the bullshit list of rationalizations and justifications that Putin used, they're just not true. I remember it was an eye-opening moment for me when I listened to Putin's speech right before the invasion. And he really let it all hang out. Yes, a lot of the time he talks about NATO and he thinks there's NATO aggression that's sort of provoking him in this direction and he's just trying to look out and defend Russia. But then there was other portions of the speech where he very clearly laid out, look, what happened with the breakup of the Soviet Union was criminal. And it was the great mistake. I don't think it ever should have happened. And Ukraine is a fake country. And effectively, I want to reestablish the Russian Empire, and that starts with Ukraine. It's not actually an independent country. It's not actually a sovereign country. It's a fake country.
Moldova and then Georgia.
Which is funny because Ukraine actually was a country in the Soviet Union. All of them were.
Yep.
It was like all those countries into one, like how the UK is.
Country. It's really part of us. And so we're just
trying
to get the old gang.
As I said, the lands of the Soviet Union, minus East Germany, but all the rest of the countries, with the politics of the Russian Empire.
Because they know Germany would whoop their ass World War II style again.
Germany would. Yep.
Back together and resurrect some sort of a Russian empire.
But Poland will do it first too.
Naked imperialistic.
And Finland.
Naked imperialistic.
Yep, Poland and Finland will do it first.
You got to call spade a spade. Yeah, there's been a lot of attacks against innocent civilians.
Which is why do you think that it's only really Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, and maybe the Baltics and Romania? Because they know if they go with any country that have serious military, they're going to be run. They're going to be run all the way back to Moscow.
This is a war of aggression.
Especially since there's nothing protecting the Finnish border.
The idea, it's solely NATO's fault. Well, let me ask you a question. Did NATO actually invade Russia before Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine?
Tankies would say yes.
Yes.
Did NATO actually invade Russia? But no, of course they didn't. Putin says, I'm worried that they might, and they're being aggressive, and they're expanding, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, NATO did not invade Russia, and Russia invaded Ukraine. They're the ones who threw the first actual blow.
Because of Putler. There we go.
Exactly.
Finland, Sweden,
Voldemort, Putler.
Once the war ends, Ukraine too. All those countries had no interest in joining NATO, but because of their aggression, now they do. And two of them are in, and that's all his fault. He has no one to blame but himself.
And that is the big thing. When Ukraine eventually gets everything back, they go straight into NATO.
And Russia can't do anything about it.
Illegally invading another country and trying to take care of it. Right.
Yeah, so we've got our own sort of NATO trying to build up for to try and counter China.
The Quad.
Yes.
Again, all their fault too.
Before I fall in this debate,
yep.
I would actually say I'm in between the two of them because yes, Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. Yes, he should be held accountable. Same for Netanyahu. I agree with Noam Chomsky when he says every U.S. president post World War II is a criminal and they would be hanged if the Nuremberg laws were upheld. I don't
We actually set the Nuremberg Tribunal.
So I wouldn't go that far,
remember, Washington, D.C. would have to be nuked.
And of course, he's not good on this issue either, remember?
All criminals, right? But I understand where Jill's coming from when she says
that Carl does not believe in Ukraine's sovereignty anymore, which means he probably does not believe in Moldova or Georgia's sovereignties either.
Kyle, please become base on this issue. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Please, can we talk to you? We know we can get you to change your ways, unlike someone like Hasan and TYT. Please listen to us.
Yeah.
And also to the main point, I could maybe understand Jill Stein somewhat, but just no, Kyle. And also too, you're being way too charitable on this. This is just period.
I do want to reach peace agreements wherever possible. Therefore, I think it's counterproductive if I call these official U.S. enemies bad names and call them war criminals.
Oh, boo-hoo. I care what they think. Yep. And also, Kyle, and Jill Stein too, Russia does not want peace. Same goes for Israel. Now, likewise, Ukraine also doesn't want peace because they're not going to give up
Israel doesn't want peace.
They
want to attack. They want to try to. If they could, they'd try to attack every country in the Middle East and North Africa.
And likewise, Hamas and Hezbollah don't want peace. Neither side wants peace. It's all or nothing and complete destruction. That's all we're going to get right now. And we got to support the right side, Palestinians and Ukraine.
But what I would say to her is, there's actually not a contradiction between these things. In other words, the facts always have to come first, and you can call a spade, and you can say he's a war criminal. But you could also say, but that doesn't mean we're not using diplomatic negotiations, doesn't mean we're not using back channels, doesn't mean we're not trying to end the conflict. We should still be doing that while also keeping it real. And by the way, some of the evidence you can use to point in that direction, I hate to use this example because I think overall this guy's a neocon warmonger asshole, but look at what happened with Trump and Kim Jong-un. Trump was calling him every name under the book, fat little rocket man, and saying my weapons are bigger than yours.
And also, too, because I know you'll bring this up too, Kyle. Remember Trump tried to start war with North Korea that whole year beforehand?
Remember, he tried to start World War III.
Everyone pretty much. Yeah, I had to deal with an idiot an hour ago earlier. Deal with this Trump is peaceful and all that on Twitter. No, just no.
He is. As I said, he tried to start World War III on 2 separate occasions.
So yeah, it still was a good thing to do, some sort of detente with North Korea. But in the end, nothing really happened on it. Probably for different reasons.
Very
and all that.
over the top rhetoric, and then ultimately, what did he do? He still went over there, shook his hand, met him. De-escalated. It's one of the few good things I would say Trump did, although he got a lot of shit for it. I totally disagree with the mainstream opinion on that. I think that was the right thing to do. The same thing with negotiating with the Taliban, right? You can call them a terrorist organization. You can call them an Islamist group. You can call them criminals. But then also, we're still working on a diplomatic back channel, and we're still trying to resolve this thing the proper way. You can't overlook facts if they're inconvenient. You can tell the truth while also working on trying to fix things. Now,
especially Jill.
When it comes to Netanyahu in particular, they do have a point that, look, we are arming him, we are funding him, we are aiding and abetting him, we are giving him the green light. So we are more morally responsible for what Netanyahu does compared to what Putin does. We don't arm Putin, we don't fund Putin. He's not one of our puppet regimes. Israel is one of our puppet regimes. Therefore, we're directly responsible to one extent or another for what they do, in the same way that if your child punches somebody in the face, you are more responsible for that than if the kid who lives down the block punches somebody in the face, because that's not your child, right? Netanyahu is. So there is an extra layer of moral and ethical responsibility when it comes to our rabid dogs doing rabid dog shit. Right? So I actually agree with them on that. I would just say the biggest problem is that she was equivocating and that she was trying to make it seem like it's more nuanced than it is. No, it's not more nuanced. He is a war criminal. In a world that made sense, he would be locked up.
Just say yes. It was that
he deserves
simple.
The same sort of harsh rhetoric that she uses against Netanyahu and Joe Biden and
no,
Donald Trump.
Be more reasonable, probably.
But at the end of the day, you can still point out, he is a war criminal. But we also live in the real world, so that doesn't mean we should cut off all conversation. That doesn't mean we should cut off all discussion. That doesn't mean we should stop trying to resolve this in a reasonable way.
Kyle, neither side wants the peace out.
Somebody who's on the
left, both sides have
unreasonable demands. Try to resolve these things in the least bad way possible, right? And so there you have it. Again, I just feel like there are some people on the left who need to be careful.
Like you.
Don't simply invert the worldview of the neocons. The neocons are America and our allies good, our enemies bad. And then there is some portion of the left that
How
flips
about
that.
How
their
about
take is
America bad,
and our
Russia bad,
allies
China bad, Israel bad, Hamas bad, Hezbollah bad, Iran bad, Saudi Arabia bad?
But see, that's too nuanced, don't you know?
And our enemies good. Or at the very least,
Basically every country bad to varying degrees.
Enemies, well, you know, it's
That's
more
too much
nuanced.
nuance,
It's more
though.
nuanced, and let's look at the positives, and let's not say mean words because it might hurt the diplomatic process. No,
You mean to
facts
say,
have to
in
come
some circumstances, America good? Impossible!
Yep.
first. The reality has to come first, and from there, you can apply your framework and your ideology and try to solve problems. But you got to be willing to call a spade. You got to be upfront about it, and you certainly have to don't make it look like that is your worldview. Our enemy's good, or it's more nuanced and complicated. Us, it's very simple and we're very bad.
That applies to you with
No,
the
that's-
Russia-Ukraine war, Kyle.
That's not the way to approach it.
That applies to you,
Mehdi
Ukraine,
did what Mehdi
Moldova,
does.
and Georgia,
Which is
because
why-
you don't think that
And
they're
he
allowed
is
to have
tough.
sovereignty.
He grills
Which is
whoever
why
he's interviewing.
we want to talk to you
and
so
he was trying to
badly
get
on
at,
this because we know we can
Yeah.
contradiction of the
because
worldview.
unlike other
of
dumb
some
leftists,
folks
you're
on
willing
the
to change your
anti-war left.
mind.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
it's
he
just
didn't
like
say
Hassan
that he was a
will
war
never.
criminal, but there was a little bit of equivocating, and of course, he was like a shark smelling blood in the water, and he went in
And
for the
once
kill
again,
when
thank
he
you,
heard that.
Mehdi, for
So
being
anyway, as I
based.
said, it's a good lesson for
Yes,
people
Mehdi Hasan for
who,
being fucking
fancy themselves
awesome.
on the left,
MSDNC
fancy themselves
sweating.
non-interventionists. I put myself in both of those
being
categories.
terrified.
Got to be very careful.
And probably being
Invert the
Islamophobic.
neocon worldview and say America and our allies bad and all of our enemies good.
Throwing out
Or all of our enemies. And
anti-Arab
nuance. It's
slurs as
nuanced.
we
It's
speak.
complicated. That's way too similar to the neocons than people might think. It's a very unsophisticated, simplistic worldview, and it's not true. And that's why
American
she sort of
Diabolists
got tripped
and
up.
neocons,
Hey, y'all, do me a
horseshoe
favor and
theory?
like and
Huh?
subscribe. And
Yep.
I just thought of that. Oh, I can't believe I didn't think about that till just now. Oh, that was funny. So,
Yeah.
what do you guys say about Jill Stein getting humiliated that badly in that one video? Oh my god.
That was nuts.
It's so
was
simple, Jill
absolutely
Stein.
nuts.
Now, here's the funny thing. At first, we were going to, like, leave it at that and all that. But no, there's a part 2 to this. Because it turns out, sometime later on, Jill Stein actually did condemn all these people. She did a tweet storm recently where she condemned Putin, Netanyahu, Assad, and she also, of course, said all current and former presidents are war criminals too. Biden, Harris, even though she's not even in power yet. Obama, Trump, Clinton, Bush, like all backwards. She went after like everyone and all that. And oh boy, she pissed off dumb leftists.
Oh, she did.
And some of them
and
some of them even dabbled into some anti-Semitism.
Of course they did.
Like Jackson
and remember,
Dinkelberg.
earlier, yes, but remember from our earlier review of MAGA communism that Jason Dinkelberg isn't just anti-Zionist, he is anti-Semitic.
Yep. And all the stuff
when he
afterwards.
uses Zionists, he actually horseshoes in a way with the Zion Nazis, because guess what? He actually uses Zionist as a synonym of Jew.
Yep, as we all know. So yeah, Kyle had to do another video on this because this was so funny. All of a sudden, Jill Stein finally being correct, getting herself correct on issue for just a moment, and she pissed off every dumb leftist on Twitter. Oh, it was so funny. Gee, Stein, maybe you should have been like this from the very start. It's like it shouldn't have been that hard to say this yes question. So here we go for part 2 now.
all right, guys. So the other day, Mehdi Hasan interviewed Jill Stein, and
again, thank you, Mehdi, for making this all
moment where Mehdi goes
happen.
into classic "I'm gonna go mode."
Woohoo! Because that's
And
really
he
good.
basically
Please do more of
says,
this
look,
for
here's
us.
your rhetoric on Netanyahu, and you're very clear, you're very unequivocal in your language. You know, he's a war criminal, cut off the weapons, arrest him, etc., all that stuff. But then when you get to Putin, the language is not as strong, it's not as clear cut, and there's a little bit more equivocation. And so he says, like, is he a war criminal? And she kind of equivocates, and she goes, well, yeah, in so many words, he's a war criminal, but when we deal with adversaries, we want to put our best foot forward, we want to negotiate, etc. We want to get to peace.
Again,
and so Mehdi did what Mehdi does, which is, I'm going to grill you, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. If I smell any blood in the water or sense a contradiction in your worldview,
it's
I'm
a
going
very
in for the
simple
kill,
thing, and
right?
she just failed
so that became a big moment,
multiple
a lot of
times
times.
over and over and over
well,
again.
Jill Stein, after the fact here, comes out
In
and wants to
so
correct the record.
many
And so she says the
words.
following.
Oh my God!
We
I
condemn
hate that.
all war criminals, including Benjamin Netanyahu, Vladimir Putin, Bashar al-Assad, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and many more. We also recognize the urgent need for diplomacy to prevent World War III. And then here she says, it's a long response. It's like an essay, but I'm going to give you the first part, and then I'll sum up the rest of it. She says, after a recent interview, which did not provide the opportunity for nuanced and serious discussion of important and controversial
fuck
topics, we
off,
want to
Jill.
take this opportunity to
Stop
clarify our
open. Stop open.
stance on key issues, particularly any misunderstandings regarding our comments about Putin and Assad. Our campaign condemns both Putin and Assad as war criminals responsible for immense
Then
suffering
why
and
couldn't
devastation.
you say yes from the very start then, and then this would have had to happen?
Putin's military intervention in Syria, supporting Assad's brutal suppression of the Syrian people's uprising, is a stark example of his disregard for human rights. As advocates of peace and human rights, we condemn all war criminals, including Putin, Assad, Biden, Harris, Trump, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and so many others who are responsible for untold human suffering. We condemn Benjamin Netanyahu in the strongest terms for his ongoing atrocities in Gaza, which amount to genocide and war crimes. His actions, enabled by U.S. support, demand immediate and uncompromising accountability. Ongoing U.S. support for genocide in Gaza and the long list of U.S. wars since World War II underscore the continuing relevance of Martin Luther King's observation that our country is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. And she basically goes on to say, look, I condemn all these war criminals.
Much better, Jill. Come on.
Better, Jill. Good.
you could've
Finally.
It wasn't that hard. You even did your nuance afterwards. It wasn't that hard.
But also, let's be clear, we are more responsible for certain ones than we are for other ones because we arm and fund certain ones. So Netanyahu in particular is our guy. He's our puppet. That's our client state. So we are more directly responsible because we arm them, we fund them. So the blood is also on our hands. So yes, we sort of prioritize, put that first and foremost because we have the most sway with a country like Israel. We don't have as much sway as we have with a country like Russia. Russia is our enemy, so we don't have as much direct ability using soft power to change their direction.
They're feeling our
That's
soft
the gist of
power
what she
in
was
Ukraine
saying.
when they keep getting
So it's just
obliterated.
Comes
every
out,
day.
corrects the record.
Yep.
Let me not equivocate. Let me say very clearly, yes, Assad's a war criminal, Putin's a war criminal, Netanyahu, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Is there anything wrong with this statement?
No.
I see nothing wrong with this statement.
As someone who just criticized her a moment ago, that statement was much better.
I mean, I would just add on top of it that, of course, there's a scale of how war criminal-ish each war criminal is. And
yeah, I don't even know if I would even put Harris on there. What has she done? She's just the vice president. She has no control over it. At least Cheney was pretty much president control under Bush because he was an idiot. But I just don't really know what Kamala could have done to be a war criminal at the moment.
Get into a nuanced discussion about the specific actions of each
Hillary
individual person
Clinton,
on
of
this
course,
list.
she's the
real serious
Secretary of
conversation
State,
about
so
how much of a criminal
and
they
she
are,
had the Clinton
right?
Foundation.
I think that's obvious. I think that goes without saying. I think the only criticism you can have of this comment is that there's a little bit of a false equivalence, if you will, where, when you equate people like Barack Obama to Benjamin Netanyahu, by any standard, sober analysis, Barack Obama is much less of a war criminal than Netanyahu, although he is still a war criminal.
Kyle,
right?
Dumb Dumb Leftists will be mad if you say that.
He did some good things, like normalization with Cuba and the nuclear deal with
Obama
Iran,
was worse.
right? So there's a scale, there's a spectrum. But nonetheless, overall, I really don't have a problem with this comment. I actually think it's...
And neither do I have a problem
It's correct.
with it.
I understand why she did it. It makes sense. She wants to clarify.
Like I said, this should have been what she said from the very start.
I'm not an idiot. I agree. Putin is bad and Assad is bad. That's what she's doing. Okay.
Jill, I really reject that comment if you think you're not an idiot at this. I think you are an idiot. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the absolute dumbest, most brain-poisoned internet freaks you've ever seen in your life.
Every dumb dumb leftist you can think of had a meltdown here, and we're going to see them all. Let's
outraged about Jill Stein's comments. So, who do we have?
Jackson
Hinkle
Dinkelberg!
Dinkelberg!
Fuck you. Only a lying Zionist piece of shit would put Presidents Putin and Assad in the same sentence as Netanyahu.
Wow!
And I
everyone I don't like is a Zionist. The dumb leftist guides a political debate.
And you know what else makes it worse? I think Stein actually is Jewish.
So, by the way, Jill Stein, the main thrust of her campaign now has become around Gaza, around the genocide. And
that's
everything
like all
she's
she
saying
thinks
is
about
indicating
all
that.
that.
Okay, she was raised in a Jewish household. Yeah, she is. Jill Stein is
Dinkelberg.
Jewish, so yeah.
Dinkelberg. Maybe you ought to be careful about using Zionists right there.
Yeah.
It'll be a shame if we call you out for being anti-Semitic, which you are.
Yeah,
Like most of you idiots are.
I remember when Jason Dinkelberg got banned from Twitter live on air.
What an idiot you are. But yeah.
That was funny.
Oh, yeah, and
like, all the comments is like, oh, it's not letting me loading. Reload. This account has been banned.
And also, Jill.
Live on the Liberal Arsehole Show.
Yeah, and also, Jill, like Kyle said, you need to not just focus on the Hamas-Israeli war and what Israel's war crimes are. You gotta focus on other things, too. It's not just one issue.
This is what needs to stop now. We need to cut off the money. We need to cut off the weapons. We need to arrest Netanyahu. We got to uphold international law and humanitarian law. This is what she's saying. He says she's a lying Zionist piece of shit.
Anti-Semitic trope now.
Yep,
And why does he say that? Because in Jackson Hinkle's mind, bro, Putin and Assad are not, they're not even war criminals, bro. They're the good guys. Look, I told you guys this the other day. Let me reiterate it because it's super important. When it comes to foreign policy, you have the neocons, right?
Remember that you have the American literally take over the world, who are claiming like, oh, Assad's going to gas the entire population of Syria if we don't nuke Damascus. And then you got people like Dinkelberg who are like, Assad did literally nothing wrong. The US was going to nuke Damascus, nuke Damascus.
Also, Jews are evil. Ukraine and Taiwan don't exist.
Ukraine, no country east of Germany exists. East of Germany, west of Russia exists because of...
But they'll be like, the Germans used to be Nazis, so they don't exist either. And then he'll find some excuse to... But then they hate Jews, and he'll have to be in a weird contradiction. Do I hate the Germans or do I love them now?
That's their actual belief. U.S. and our allies good, our official enemies
pretzel.
bad. But you have this weird thing that happens with some on the far left, and I call it they're inverted neocons.
Dumb leftists or American Diabolists, Kyle.
And American Diabolists.
Come on, Kyle. You can make up good names like me and all that. It's not hard.
It's the mirror image of what I just told
accept
you.
me and
so for them,
on
it's
this.
U.S. enemies are good, full stop, and U.S. allies and us, we are bad, full stop. You're just the mirror image of the neocon. You're an inverted neocon.
Theory.
Obviously, the correct position is, as a general rule, any government with a lot of power is going to be bad, and they're going to abuse their power, especially when it comes to foreign policy stuff. And you have to evaluate everything objectively and empirically and say, okay, what actions have been done here that are good or bad? And of course, you could find actions by every government,
single part
whether
of the
they're
world, people.
U.S. linked or not.
Hard.
They have the same sort of
Kyle.
human nature and corruption and power struggles and incentive structures, etc. And they deny that and act like all U.S. enemies are like heavenly and all U.S. and our allies are all bad. You're just an inverted neocon. All right, George Gallo, you didn't have to do this. It is a mistake. If you don't run, they can't chase you. Yeah, but she's coming out to say something that's accurate. Like, yeah, okay, I equivocated, but the fact of the matter is Putin is a war criminal and so is Assad. That's correct. That's correct. They are war criminals.
Galloway
Imagine
dabbled
denying
in
that.
some 9/11 truthism recently, too.
You don't need to be in favor of war against those countries, right? You don't need to be in favor of intervention against those countries to call a spade and say they're wrong.
And yes, that's actually what he's pretty much said recently.
Russia. I wasn't in favor of war with Syria.
I didn't know he was
my dad. I wasn't even in favor of Obama's soft power arming the rebels because a lot of them turned out to be jihadists.
9/11 truther.
On the Pentagon? Yes, I've told you that before, remember?
Oh,
and that 93 was shot down. I told you that before for 9/11 20th anniversary.
You can have that position and also point out the fact that Assad is still a war criminal, that Putin is still a war criminal. NATO didn't invade Russia. Russia did invade Ukraine.
They did, Kyle. How about that?
Let's use our common sense here. Let's use our reason here. When it comes to Assad, you go look at the numbers, guys.
Remember?
There's a wide range in terms of what they say the results were of the Syrian civil war, but it's over 300,000 people who were killed. Over 300,000. Over 100,000 innocent civilians killed. And I'm using very conservative numbers here. And according to basically every serious estimate I've seen, most of the civilian deaths were done by Assad by the Assad regime. They're the ones who killed most civilians. It's totally true that some of the rebels were extremists and they were jihadists and they were bad people.
And that's why
But
we
it's
shouldn't have
also
gotten
true
involved.
that the Assad government killed massive numbers of civilians, including with torture in prisons. When did it become controversial to just state basic facts about the war? Learn the basic facts and then repeat them to people. Yes, a lot of the rebels were jihadists and al-Nusra Front, and that's bad, and we shouldn't arm them, we shouldn't support them,
Remember
etc.
Al-Qaeda
Agreed.
in Syria?
But also, Assad is no
ISIS
fucking
too.
angel, and he also massacred a lot of civilians in the process of the war,
And that's
which
why
means he's
we
a war
should
criminal.
stay completely out.
Right? I think that these people feel like if you acknowledge reality and say, yes, Assad's a war criminal, they feel like that then serves that the next step that logically follows is it is correct for us to do war against them, or at least...
Well, that is what the neocons believe and a lot of people believe. But you can acknowledge that, but still be anti, like, intervention Syria, which we are.
Fund people who are against them. It's just the rational and moral thing to do. But that doesn't follow. You know, there is a position of just non-interventionist. Let's mind our business. Let's stay out of it. That is a position. You can actually take that position while objectively describing what's happening on the ground.
Allergic to nuance.
All right, more. Anya Parampol says, this is an awful statement. Awful. It's awful. Vladimir Putin, a war criminal, with the restraints that he has had with all the U.S. NATO encroaching upon the
only
Russian...
thing he
Oh my
hasn't
God.
is restrained on is using nuclear weapons.
With the U.S. creating disaster in Ukraine, pitting the Slavic brothers against each
With
other.
the restraints that he has had
Wow.
with the U.S. creating a
This sounds
disaster in
like
Ukraine,
someone
pitting
I
the
dealt
Slavic
with
brothers
earlier
against
this
each other.
morning.
With the okay, this guy genuinely believes poor Vladimir Putin is just waging a defensive war. Vladimir Putin gave a speech when he announced the invasion, and in the speech, he said,
How does it feel knowing
"Look,
when you go to bed,
we're not in favor
wake
of
up
the
and have to
Soviet
deal with
Union,
these
but
idiots
yeah,
while you
we
sleep?
think Ukraine is a fake state, and we would like to reestablish a Russian empire. That is a naked imperialist ambition. Yes, he also does the tap dance where he gives his long list of excuses and says, oh, bro, this is totally like defensive and stuff, and we feel threatened by NATO. Why is
Genocide
it that when the
is
U.S.
defense.
gives bullshit justifications
Yeah,
for
that's what they
offensive invasion they
believe.
do, all these people can call it out? But when Russia gives a list of bullshit justifications and rationalizations for their war, all of a sudden they shut their brain off and they believe everything the Russian government says at face value.
Like you still do,
That makes no
Kyle.
fucking sense. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
If you're willing to see through the propaganda
to
of the U.S. and our
some
allies,
degree,
why are you not
like,
willing to
it's
see
not
through the
as bad as
propaganda of
these-
Yep, like
Assad or
these
Putin?
And Hassan.
Oh,
Of course you should be able to do
yeah,
that.
but Hassan's
they take
one
what-
of them, remember?
No. And TYT as well, now remember.
They say at face value, but they're against everything we
Anna
say.
Kasparian's gone from
Oh,
frickin'
yeah, that reminds me. Funny nickname the Vanguard gave you. You want to hear it? Karen Kasparian. And Sam Cedar made fun of her recently on her crime spree bullshit.
At face value.
Yep.
This would be
Maybe
as
we
stupid
need
as
to
saying
add it on for our
we
next
were
episode.
fighting Saddam Hussein because
Yes.
he was linked to 9/11.
Karen
and he had weapons
Kasparian
of mass
have another
destruction.
Karen
He was going
meltdown
to attack
again?
us. It's like believing that lie about the U.S. going to war in Iraq. That's what it's all the stuff this guy is repeating back. It's like he's believing that, but vis-a-vis Russia. Every bullshit. We are denazifying Ukraine. Imagine thinking Vladimir Putin is seriously
remember
trying to
when they've got the
denazify Ukraine.
Wagners and other Nazis, and of course you've got the
only
Islamic Nazis of Chechnya.
The only Nazis in Ukraine are Russian Nazis, people.
Yep,
Like, that's why
Russian
he
and
invaded
Chechen.
Ukraine. It has a
Well,
lot more to
same
do
thing,
with
but you know what I
believing
mean.
Ukraine is a fake state, and also wanting to take their natural gas, right? Was it oil or natural gas? I think
Just
natural
like
gas
Poland
has a lot
was
more to
a
do with
fake
that.
state after
right?
World
But
War
no,
I, people,
when
remember?
Russia says it's defensive, they go, "Oh, that is defensive." I agree.
Yeah.
This person says, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, did you ever swing and miss on that one?"
Buddy, she only swung and missed when she was on Mehdi Hasan. This time she's actually being correct for once.
Yep.
So how about you accept her
Yep.
being base? Oh, goody! Revolutionary Blackout Network.
Is this
Let's go.
you taking the safe way out?
remember
Oh my god!
that.
Harry's people. Oh no, Scott
Yeah.
Ritter. No, keep the kids away from you.
They are still going to call you a Russian puppet, even if you repeat their lies about Putin, Jill. Lies about Putin. So it's a lie to say Putin's a war criminal? It's a lie to say Putin's a war criminal. Even though he has
course,
bombed
Nick
civilian
Harris
areas,
is
he
a
has
lie.
killed women and children,
Capitalist.
innocent men. He did
Just like he said recently, Democrats aren't want to go to war with Russia.
wage an offensive invasion against Ukraine. By the way, let's repeat this again for the people in the back. Did Ukraine invade Russia before Russia
According
invaded
to these
Ukraine?
guys,
Did
yes,
Ukraine
Kyle.
invade Russia?
Yes.
That's
they
right, they
did.
didn't.
That was one of the excuses.
Yes, they invaded.
That was one of the excuses.
No,
too.
they believe that NATO invaded Ukraine overthrew the government and turned the Ukraine into a Nazi terrorist state, remember?
Yep, and there was another excuse too that they had, because I just remembered too. They said Russian propagandists were like, we have to invade Ukraine because they're about to attack us like in March, so we have to attack them beforehand.
Did NATO invade Russia?
Yeah.
That's right, they didn't.
You and what army?
That's true.
Well, we
But
don't
these
know
people
that
really
they have
believe-
enough
yeah,
to
in
invade
a week,
Kursk.
NATO was gonna, fly fighter jets into Moscow and try.
Oh man, the fact that 2 months ago people were acting like this is nothing, and they're still there 2 months later.
to take it over. No fucking serious
And
person
her
believes
reports
that.
are expanded
No
in
serious
some
person believes
areas.
that. So in other words, Russia does the offensive and aggressive thing, and they all shut their minds
How
over it.
close are they to that railway line? If they manage to take out that railway line, Russia's in big trouble.
Or did you hear last week when they destroyed a massive weapons depot full of like thousands of missiles?
Yes, I remember hearing that.
That was equivalent to the explosion was equivalent to 3 kilotons of TNT, which for all of you, don't know, to put that in a scale, that would be like 1/5 the power of the nuclear bombs used on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Oh, it is defensive because
Thousands of
he says
missiles
it's
gone
defensive,
just like
and I
that.
believe
And it burnt for 8 days.
from the Russian government at face value.
Wow.
No, use the same skepticism you use
Gee,
when the
maybe
U.S.
that's why we
government
should
says
let
something.
Ukraine
Use it for
just
Russia.
attack them wherever they
Use
want.
it for Syria.
Instead of trying to restrict them.
Use it for all governments that are doing some form of an aggressive action. All right, Moore, I think you lost a good part of your base on this one, unforced error. Well, good for Jill then.
Kyle, do you not realize that's Scott Ritter? Do you really not know that? Oh no!
Because these
we have to
people
explain
are
to
the
them.
problem. This is one of many reasons why the left is not viewed as serious.
Yes,
this is one of many, many reasons why that's the case.
You're a pedo,
Because
Ritter.
you
Your
really
opinions are
are at this
automatically
point.
irrelevant
These
as
people
far
are
as I'm
just
concerned, like
inverted
EDP.
neocons. That's it. Yeah. They're just inverted neocons. If the neocons believe U.S. and our allies good, our enemies bad,
he's also
they
in
believe
Russia helping
U.S.
the
and our
army out
allies
too, no
bad and our
surprise.
enemies good.
That
like
is so
Dinkelberg.
funny. You're just as dumb as Bill Crystal.
He's
You're
fighting,
just as dumb as David
said
Frum.
to fight on the front
You just
line
mirror
and
image
gets
their
blown up.
worldview.
Are
You're
there
just an
kids there?
inverted
I'll go there
neocon. So from now on,
instantly.
everybody needs to call these people inverted neocons. And you got to give credit to Jill Stein.
He gets blown
she
up by a
knew when she
kid.
was going to say this that it was going to piss off
Flying
a
a
lot
Ukrainian
of the
drone
absolute brainworm
on Gorgish?
online freaks that support her. But she said it,
That'd be
and she was
fun.
right to say it. She was right to say it. Because most people know, yeah, the U.S. and our allies, we commit a lot of crimes. We do a lot of horrible shit, and we should call that out every step of the way. But that doesn't mean we give a pass to other countries that also commit crimes.
Looking
and
at
do horrible
you, Kyle.
things and use their
Looking
power
at
for
you,
negative things
Kyle.
in the world.
Please
I mean,
talk
Jesus
to
Christ,
us.
man. Unbelievable. So, there you have it. Who would have thought that saying something as simple as, like, yes, Assad and Putin are war criminals?
Yes,
Who would've
Jill.
thought
Why couldn't you do that at the start?
that could lead to a meltdown.
That was so
among the
simple.
absolute dumbest people on the planet. And again,
But
to
hey,
be
at least
clear,
you pissed off the
if you
people
say
that
that,
deserve
that
to be
doesn't
pissed
then
off.
mean you are justifying
Yeah.
U.S. militarism
Yankees,
against them.
red
No, you're
fascists,
not.
all
No,
Malden.
you're not.
Always funny.
I'm not in favor of U.S. militarism against
Love
those
it.
countries. Neither is Jill
Always
Stein.
love it.
As they
But
want
we're
the
also willing
horseshoe
to
theory
call a
shoved
spade
up
a
their
spade.
ass still.
And clearly,
Yes.
these people aren't. Hey, y'all,
They
do
want to
me a
keep
favor.
rotating that horseshoe in every direction.
Yep.
So yeah, what you gotta say about that? Them Malden like maniacs after she finally said the right thing for once.
Yeah. About time.
So yeah, Jill, like, I'm gonna tell you this right now, as a former voter. If you want my vote, which you're probably not gonna be able to get right now, you guys have to drop this issue. You gotta be pro-Ukraine. There's no way around it. You have to stop being a dumb leftist. If you want my vote, you gotta drop that issue. I'm sorry, that's not something I can compromise on. And also, you guys need to start being better, because there's a lot of problems with the Green Party, to the point where sometimes I wonder if we need to just drop the Green Party and get like a new progressive party running, because there's so many things wrong. Ooh, here's a good idea. Maybe Jill Stein, maybe you shouldn't run next time. Let someone else try and run for once.
Yeah.
That maybe not be as bad on you in that regard, because there's a lot of issues with the Green Party that need to be resolved. All right, so now with that lecture from a former Green voter out of the way, what's on next?
All right, let's get on to the third topic, which is Trump is anti-Semitic for the 1,234,567,890th time.
But did you know Kamala Harris is an anti-Semite?
Yeah, everyone who doesn't agree with nuking Gaza is pro-Hamas, is a Hamas fighter. We get it.
So yeah, guys, once again, Trump being anti-Semitic. What else is new, as we all know? Let's go watch Kyle laugh at him.
All right, so we got some new Trump comments. These are getting him a little heat. Let's listen. He's going to talk here about Jewish people. Oh, boy.
You ought to have your heads examined. You ought to have your heads examined.
Heads
And those votes may be
examined.
necessary for us to win. I say us to win because we're in this together. But who are these people? Who are the 60% that would vote? And I really believe that bad things, very bad things are going to happen. And I'll put it to you very simply and as gently as I can. I wasn't treated properly by the voters who happen to be Jewish.
Because they don't like you, you fucking
Dude.
idiot. That's why.
Exactly.
It's not that hard. Jews
not
overwhelmingly
that
vote
hard.
for Democrats.
Yeah.
Because we're not
And it's-
anti-Semitic like the Republicans are.
Yeah.
don't know, do they know
And it's
what
also because they're not total morons.
And they're also not a whole bunch of them are not raging Zionists like you are.
Exactly.
happening?
They're not.
If
They're
I
not
don't win this election,
being like, yay, let's
They're not,
nuke it,
they're not
let's nuke
Jewish
Gaza.
Nazis like you guys are.
Yeah.
and the Jewish people
Like you and
would
Benny
really have a
Boy.
lot to do with that if
And
that
Phoebe.
happens, because at 40%, that means
Yep.
60% of the people are voting for the enemy.
Maybe Hitler
So in other
Yahoo.
words, he's lecturing American Jews and saying,
Good way to
if
try
I
and get
lose,
their
it's your
votes,
fault.
people. Don't you know?
It's going to be your fault.
Yep.
Because 60% are apparently against me. But really, the underlying
Gee,
point
why
is,
is it like 78%
I
of
give
Jews
Israel
vote
everything
against
they ever
us?
want
I
ever.
can't
I let
figure
them
it
do whatever
out.
they want. I give them all the money. I give them all the... Why would you not support me? So he's linking American Jews to as one-to-one relationship with the Israeli government.
That's very anti-Semitic too, assuming that if you're Jewish, you have to automatically support the Israeli government. Just like all the anti-Catholic BS when JFK became president, and Biden too. Oh, he's going to listen to the Pope and all that. Not everyone who's Jewish agrees with everything Israel does. Not everyone who's of a certain religion agrees with their religion 100% on everything, people. Like, there's nuance to it. No,
Exactly.
no
That
true
is an
Christian
anti-Semitic
fallacy
thing
or
to
whatever.
believe. The
Yep,
idea
in this case,
that if
it's
you're
no
an
true
American Jewish
Jew.
person, you just rent your mind out to the Israeli government in some hive mind type shit, and you agree
That's like sounds-
with the
that
genocide
sounds like-
that they're doing right now against
Sounds like they think they're
Palestinians.
That's what
Japanese in World War II.
Oh,
We're not done.
yes.
We're not done. We got more. Here we go.
There's never been a time like this that people can remember. This was a period, they say, if you read it, and I find it very interesting, but this was just before the Holocaust. I think there's a very great similarity because nobody can believe what's been happening. If Kamala Harris
Oh,
wins
no.
instead of the
He's
most
comparing
pro-Israel
Kamala with it to the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, guys, if Kamala wins, we're gonna have another Holocaust. Except this time it'll be the Palestinians, apparently.
president ever, which I have been already declared to be. You will have the most
Well, remember that
anti-Israel
Bibi Netanyahu's a Holocaust revisionist.
president by far worse than Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh,
Over the
there we
past 12
go.
months,
Yeah,
Kamala Harris has repeatedly
Hussein
demanded an immediate ceasefire
Obama.
to save Hamas.
I'm a
Aren't you-
racist
aren't you
piece
looking-
of shit.
I bet you, I cannot wait when Kamala wins, and 8 years straight, hopefully, of just all their arguments are just gonna be, no, black woman, bad. Oh, those 8 years are gonna be bad. It's gonna be so
Oh,
fun.
God, how many, do you
And to
even
confront
the
the crisis
number
of
of
anti-Semitism
inslurs
in our
there are going to
universities, I will
be?
tell college
can't
presidents
wait.
that they
It's gonna
must
be
end the
funny.
anti-Semitic propaganda, or
Yep.
they will lose their accreditation and they will lose all federal support.
So in other
Shutting down universities if they're not pro-Israeli enough in your eyes. So
Yep.
much for free speech.
words, if universities
Where's
don't
the
crack
free
down on
speech
pro-Palestine
warriors at?
protests and arrest them and not allow them to do it,
It seems
he'll
they're
I'll
get
never
people
show
their
up because
accreditation, and
Yep,
he's gonna
because they're liar, pants on fire.
Rave Dubin looking at Russian money? I agree
Yep.
with that. Like Dim Full.
Yep.
cut off their money, and he also has gone
Yep.
as far as to say he wants
And
to
Benny Johnson and
deport
Lawrence
pro-Palestine
Southern.
students.
And all these cunts.
Yep.
Full authoritarian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So there was a lane that was wide open for Trump to pivot on this one to Kamala's left and say, we're going to end the bloodshed. We're going to end the disgusting. Look at what's happening. It's so bad. All these babies getting blown up. In 2016, Trump would have done that. In 2024, his brain is totally gone. And now he's like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
I'm even
I
more
actually earlier watched a little bit of the first 2016 presidential debate with him and Hillary. Oh
Yep.
my God, he sounded back then just like 1% normal compared to what he does now, and it was like such a night and day difference. Oh my
Israel.
God,
I'm even more pro-war. I want to send them more weapons.
He
I want
was
to send them
brain
more
dead
money.
then, but he's
I
even
wanna
more
crack down on
brain
free
dead
speech in
now.
our own country.
He's probably
The
even more
pro-Palestine
brain dead
people,
than
we got to
see
get rid
now
of them.
Biden.
We got to get rid of them.
And
We got
that's
to
saying
destroy
something.
universities that allow them to
Yeah.
protest.
How do you
This
guys
is where
listen
he
to him
is now.
and think he's smart?
This
He's
is where he
stupid.
is now. So he's somehow
He
mixing
can't form any coherent
extreme
sentence.
anti-Semitism with extreme
How many years?
Israel
We've
sentiment.
done this show for 5 years. We have yet to see him say one
It's
coherent
the worst
thing.
of both worlds. Build a massive
The
anti-Semite
dark side
and
of the
massively
force is
pro
a
this
pathway
Israeli
to
government
many
which is committing a
abilities.
genocide.
Some consider
But
to
we got
be
more. We got more.
unnatural.
Listen to this one.
That's
Just as
how
I
they're
promised,
keeping
I
themselves
recognize
alive.
Like the
Israel's
orangutan.
eternal capital and opened the
Yep.
American embassy in Jerusalem. Jerusalem became the capital. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights.
Which is illegal because it's Syrian
It's
territory,
illegal
you stupid
because-
fuck.
Yep.
And give it back to Syria already.
Bragging.
Give it back to Syria.
About violating international law and stealing Syrian territory and giving it to Israel. Bragging.
Just like they had to eventually give
Miriam
back
and
to
Sheldon
Sinai to Egypt.
Yep.
Would come into the
Yep.
White House.
And
probably
let's
almost
give
more
back.
than anybody
Let's give back.
outside
Come
people that work there.
the
And,
past.
and leave the West Bank.
And they were always after, and as soon as I'd give them something, always for Israel. As soon as I'd give them something, they'd want something else. I said, give me a couple of weeks, will you please?
So, one of his, if not his actual
Again,
top donor,
Then here ain't been
gave him
coherent what he
$100
said.
million on 2 separate
Yep.
occasions in 2016.
It's like buying all over again.
He's saying this guy came in the White House.
Only
This guy
stupider.
came in the White House and he would demand something on Israel.
Yep.
I'd give it to him, and then he'd demand more, and I'd say, just give me a couple of weeks, then I'll do that too. He's admitting he's a puppet of his donors.
But I gave them the
Yeah, we
Golan
already
Heights.
knew
They
that.
never even asked for it. You know, for 72 years, they've been trying to do the Golan Heights, right? And even Sheldon didn't have the nerve. But I said, you know what? I said to David Friedman, give me a quick lesson, like 5 minutes or less on the Golan Heights. And he did. And I said, let's do it. We got it done in about 15 minutes, right?
He's totally lost it. He's lost it. Bragging about how much his donors control him. Saying, hey, my top donor came in
But
and gave
he'll
me
drain the
directions every day.
flump.
And I even went further than what my top donor was
He'll
asking for. on
blame
the issue he cares about
everyone
the
and
most.
everything.
Totally
because
correct.
he's
You're
evil.
And
Got
Tracy
it.
points out here, here's a tweet from 2015. Sheldon
you're
Adelson
a
is looking to
worse-
give big dollars to
you're
Rubio
a
because he feels he
existence
can
is
mold
worse
him
than
into
the
a
Holocaust.
puppet.
You're a
I agree. That is
Palestinian.
literally exactly what
And yes,
happened
guys,
to Trump.
and guys,
the
he's used
Palestinians
Palestinian
use
as a
that
slur. Which I don't even know
yeah.
how it's even possible, but he's done it.
Sheldon Adelson's puppet, now Miriam Adelson's
Yeah.
puppet. By the way,
Sake.
for 2024, it's been reported, Miriam Adelson says, I'll give you $100 million. You need to officially allow Israel
I didn't know
to
the
annex the entire
KKK had an
West Bank.
orangutan as their member.
And Trump has agreed.
Apparently
This
they do.
As dangerous
Apparently
as it gets.
they do.
Trump,
This is
can you
as
stop
dangerous as
being
it
naked
gets.
and put on your
And let me be
Klan's
clear,
outfit already?
Biden and Kamala on the issue of Israel are abysmal.
Look, I know you're orangutan,
They're
but we still
abysmal.
have standards in society.
But
You gotta wear
Trump
clothes.
is promising to be even worse.
And
That's
no, you
his
don't
words,
need to
not
throw
mine,
your crap
his
at people
words.
again.
So just
Yes.
unbelievably
No
grotesque.
need to do that.
Man,
No need to be
everybody
mad at
needs
Bill
to see
Maher
this video
correctly point out
because
your
this
dad's an
video
orangutan.
says it all about how he functions and how our politics function, but honestly, it shows him as the worst of all of them.
You don't need
You
to be
give him
mad that
$200
you're a
million,
brain-dead
hey, you
fool.
come in the White House more than anybody else, you tell me what to do, I'll do it.
The
He's
brain
admitting
dead, you're
he's
a
a puppet
brain
to
dead
the donor class.
moron.
He's admitting it.
You don't need to be mad at Biden's
All right,
brain
guys, that's
somehow
the
is
show.
1%
Love y'all very
stronger
much.
than
You know the
yours.
deal. Like,
Yep.
subscribe, yada yada. Support on Patreon or tip on YouTube.
You don't need
All
to
right,
be mad
I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
that that
Peace.
N-word
Hey, y'all,
cunt
do me a
is beating
favor
you in
and
the
like and
debate.
subscribe. It helps out big
Because
time.
I know
in the
you want to
algorithm.
call her that.
Yep. Oh, we know that's what he
I
does.
just can't
That's
wait
all
to
he can
please.
do.
One of you consider just call her the N-word on TV or something so we can laugh, please. Plus, you'll die. Your party will die too, which will be even better. Please.
Yep.
So yeah, what do you guys say about him being anti-Semitic?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
What a clown. All right. So now, what's next?
A moment to click on the wrong one. That would be Black Nazi Governor is a weirdo. God, this guy is ridiculously weird.
I don't think we covered this yet, which you should because it's so funny. And the video was already long enough as is. And the Kyle's video, he got into like some of the messages that the guy said, and they were just so weird for me. I didn't even feel like hearing them being mentioned on here. They were like way out of line for like YouTube standards. But anyways, guys,
Yeah.
the Republican governor of North Carolina's governor election is a fucking black Nazi. And we're not joking about that.
Yep.
He is a weirdo. Every single far-right stereotype you can think of Republicans, he is, and then he like doubles and triples and quadruples them. He is everything. He's even said recently that from like 10 years ago in internet posts that he wished slavery was back and he would own slaves. he thinks Hitler was based in all that, and other weird things. He admitted that he was a degenerate, trying to sneak at looking at women in the bathroom and all that, and other weird things. He's hardcore transphobic, but he admits he watched trans porn.
Just like Alex Jones.
Yeah, like we keep telling you all, that's how it always is. The most hardcore, like homophobes and transphobes, they're deep down in the closet and they won't admit it. And all that. And oh god, so much weird stuff. He is so.
Oh, you know that. Yeah, he's so far in the closet. He's having gay orgies with trans people in freaking Narnia.
He is so weird that he pretty much cost the Republicans the governor election in North Carolina. The Democrats leaned by 10 points. And that was before the scandal. Before all this even came out. And a lot of the stuff we already knew. It's probably going to be even bigger now. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion the Democrats going to have North Carolina's going to have a Democrat governor. It's also gone bad enough to the point where he might actually help Kamala win North Carolina in the election. And that's 16 votes. So, thank you. That would make it a lot easier. Hey, North Carolina's been a swing state since like 2008. Maybe it can turn into a pretty solid blue state in the future. So, thank you. So yeah, let's watch Kyle's other video on this because it's not as weird as the other one. Plus, it's not as long.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the last 10 polls have Harris up in North Carolina.
For the governorship,
and 3 of the others
North
are
Carolina.
in.
Big story just came out. Now, Mark Robinson, he was already losing by like 10 points to the Democrat Stein.
Only the far-right base would love him. Everyone else hates him.
Relatively simple.
Like, he's so radical and stupid that even, like, normal, like, conservatives can't even, like, I can't even do lesser vote against me, lesser evil vote for him. He's just that insane.
Forward for a normie Republican to win there. But
imagine if he comes in third place to a write-in.
Some crazy moments in the past. Did sprinkled in some Holocaust denial and some other.
Oh yeah, he denies the Holocaust
because
too.
Of course, he denies the fucking Holocaust.
Because he's a Nazi, guys. That's what Nazis do. They deny the Holocaust because they hate Jews.
But what just came out now from CNN is absolutely brutal. So apparently, he was quite a prolific poster on porn sites. Which is right off the bat, that's like, bro, if you're posted on porn sites, if you registered an account on a porn site, that's already bad news. That's already like, what are you doing?
Because America's so puritanical.
But apparently he posted things like the following, quote, "I am a black Nazi." I screamed Nazi because Nazi, he put that in all caps. "I am a black Nazi," he said. He also said that,
like I said, I want every single one of you conservatives to be as open as this guy. Please,
interesting thing.
Please do it. I want you to do it.
In the United States of America
they'll get crushed, and it'll be hilarious.
I want these losers to get
about how he's interested in
forever.
I'm not going to use the word he used, but
forever.
Transgender on girl porn. Because you're removing the man without removing the man. He said something along those lines, right, Crystal? Did I get that quote right?
Something like that.
Just come out the closet and admit you like trans porn. There's nothing wrong with
that. He fantasized about being in the KKK and the racial slurs he would use.
He actually does say he wishes he was in the KKK. And we still got another video coming up about that too.
He also shared.
Oh wait, what did he say about Martin Luther King? He called him like
this guy is even more
something
racist than
Martin
Uncle
Lucifer
Ruckus.
Coon or something.
Yes.
He makes Uncle Ruckus a progressive in comparison.
Yeah.
Used to call him that, and then
these fuckers would want to ban great stuff like Boondocks.
Was able to like peep in the girls' locker room.
Yep.
One time, and he really enjoyed that.
Just like they want to ban South Park and all that.
The fake news media is smearing me.
And then God forbid they get their hands on my anime and manga on my desk.
Well, there's also a high-tech lynching against
and then our video games like Power World. Thank you, Nintendo.
They are quoting you directly.
Oh, that was the other crazy thing. Is that he literally used his own name on
Oh my god. Yeah. He registered his own name on a porn site and his email, like directly to obviously his email, and then CNN was able to dig this up and they were like, holy shit, like, look at the stuff this guy was posting. So look, he was already
and then he deleted all these stuff like soon afterwards from like 10 years ago.
He's done calling it now. North Carolina, the governor.
You ever heard of this thing called Internet Archive? It's a very useful site. I was able to get stuff from my NTWS site years ago. Yep. Internet Machine. Oh man, archives. I know you conservatives don't like stuff getting archived, but we do like that.
Going to the Democrat, but also that could hurt Trump too. That could hurt Trump. So
oh yeah, Trump is defending him like crazy, which is gonna hurt him so much.
Oh.
Okay, please, thank you. Keep going, Trump. Just keep being stupid, please.
huge news. Just wanted to do a quick video on it. Obviously, I'm a little busy now, but there you have it.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, what do you got to say about that?
Oh,
The other video Kyle did had more info in it, but I just can't watch it. What the stuff Kyle brought up was just too weird even for me. But yeah, thank you, North Carolina Republicans, for being so insane. You got an actual Nazi as your nominee, and then he's going to lose by 10 plus points, and maybe help Kamala get North Carolina as well, which will help her win. Thank you. I love when you do what we want. Makes our jobs a lot easier.
It makes it fun. All fun.
And then we can laugh at you too when you go all racist and misogynistic on it for the next 8 years. It's gonna be great times. Alright, so now on to the next topic.
And that is Republicans going Klansmen over Haitians.
Hey, Mark Robinson is a Klansman. Trump's a Klansman. These guys gotta be Klansmen too. Trump is trying so hard to bring back the third part of the KKK. As of course, still continue on harassing Haitians in Ohio. As they're getting more and more and more and more racist. And guys, like we said last time, it's all racism. That's all it boils down to. Racism, racism, racism. And this Republican right here is going to show you how much it all matters about racism and had nothing to do with them being illegal and nothing to do with them eating cats and all that, because both those things are bullshit. So yeah, let's watch the racism.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating...
Trump, you forgot to put on your Klansman outfit.
If I have to...
Hey, JD Vance, where's your Klan outfit?
So that the American media actually...
Oh my god! I just saw this earlier today on JD Vance on Twitter too. I had to show it to my mom and she like face palmed. You want to hear what stupid thing he just said recently?
What?
He said that it's child booster seats in cars are the reason why birth rates have gone down. Yes, because it's too much of a bullshit.
It's a conspiracy.
It's so much bullshit to put kids into booster seats in cars, so that's why people don't have kids anymore. That was the new one he fought up. Oh my god, let me see if I can go find it, because I had to retweet Snopes on it. That was so funny earlier. So we gotta see about that one.
Of the American people.
Oh
that's what
god, that is insanely stupid.
About public policy.
Oh yeah, I don't think we even brought it up too. I don't think we brought this up yet, because I think this was after we did the last episode. JD had pretty much admitted that he made up all the Haitian stuff to illustrate his point. No, it's because you're racist. Like, we all know, I would have more respect for you guys if you just come out and admit that, yeah, we don't like N-words. We want them all killed and kicked out. I would have more respect for you if you just came out willingly and say it, because we know deep down that's the real reason. We don't like... There's one thing that might be worse than racist, and that's liars. Especially racist liars.
That's just a small fraction of the defamatory lies that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been propagating about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. And let me just say this. The requirements for what's legally considered to be defamation in the United States are very high. But J.D. Vance...
Oh, yeah! That's right! I posted earlier today on, I think it was yesterday on the server. There was actual criminal charges on Trump and Vance recently because of inciting violence against Haitians.
I remember that.
See what happens when you open your big fat mouths, people? But hey, keep going. Although, I don't appreciate Haitians being harassed and getting bomb threats on it. That's not good. But other than that, please be openly racist and misogynistic as possible, because we win.
And literally admitting on national television that he creates stories to raise the salience of issues about immigrants, that obviously meets the criteria for defamation. And in that same clip, he demonstrated his intent to defame them as well, which is another requirement for defamation in the United States. Now, on top of that, he has purposefully called Haitian migrants illegal when they are in fact here legally.
So shut up.
And when he was asked about that by a Politico reporter at a rally, he made it very clear he doesn't care about the facts. He's going to keep calling them illegal
conservatives
anyways.
Don't care. Being racist is more important, as we keep telling you guys for years.
Exactly.
Hundreds of thousands of them, by the way. 20,000 in Springfield.
Like, we were not bullshitting you all. We were telling you the reality of it. These guys are racist because the Republican Party is full of racists.
But hundreds of thousands of them all across our country.
We know.
They are
We had to
here
deal with it
legally.
8 years with Obama.
And what they mean is that Kamala Harris used two separate programs. Mass parole and temporary protective status. She used two programs to wave a wand.
Also, if I remember the info correctly, these Haitian migrants came in when Trump was president.
Yep.
So how is it Kamala or Biden's fault, pal? Imagine being such a racist, you're stupid.
And to say, we're not going to deport those people here. Well, if Kamala Harris waves the wand illegally and says these people are now here legally, I'm still going to call them
They
an
are
illegal
here
alien.
legally,
And
so
illegal action
shut
from
up,
Kamala
racist.
Harris does
Illegally.
not make an alien legal.
JD Vance is utterly despicable. He admitted multiple times now
He's
that he is
evil.
deliberately
Like I just mentioned earlier about the car seats, the guy's also creepily obsessed over women having not having kids and cats.
lying about Haitian immigrants.
And
And,
he's
even
too
though
busy
Republicans say
raping
that they're not
couches.
against legal immigration, Trump is threatening to deport
He
these
doesn't believe in
legal
consent for
immigrants in
couches.
Springfield, Ohio anyway. And to make matters even worse, he's using the
Can you
bullshit
imagine
that
if he loses Ohio because of this? Oh, that would be funny.
What was
He
that?
was
I
running-
missed it. I'm sorry.
Can you imagine if Ohio goes back to the Democrats because of his big racist mouth?
made up about them as a
hysterical.
justification
That would
for their
be
potential
hysterical.
deportation in the event they get elected. It couldn't get more despicable than that. And these aren't just small lies that they're making up. These are massive lies that have enormous consequences. These lies are ruining people's lives in Springfield, Ohio, as my friend and leftist mafia co-host Rebecca Azor put it.
Haitian Americans are saying that they're now fearing for their lives right now because of Donald Trump and JD Vance's false rhetoric. Okay, xenophobia has gone up like nobody's business. And now Springfield, Ohio, which Haitians, 15,000 Haitians that have moved there, have revived this little city. And now those same Haitians are under attack. And now Haitians are fearing for their lives in this city right now. They can't take their kids to school. There are reports that Haitians couldn't take their kids to school following these claims. Haitians are being attacked in Springfield, Ohio, as we speak.
And she's absolutely right about that. There's literally been dozens of bomb threats, in fact, more than 30, as a direct result of the lies being spread by Donald Trump and JD Vance. This is quintessential
This is libs and
stochastic
TikTok
terrorism,
stuff.
and I'll link you to
Yep,
Rebecca's full video
exactly.
below so that way you can watch it, and I would highly encourage that because what she says is so important because she gives you the context that we all don't know about as Americans, and she says this as a Haitian immigrant herself and explains how
found
she was
it!
literally
Oh, here
bullied
we
as a
go!
kid because of this lie
found
about
it?
Haitians eating pets.
JD Vance's
So these
thing, let me get
defamatory
the
lies
link
being spread
for
by
you to
Donald Trump and
laugh
JD
at.
Vance, they're not just xenophobic and racist. They are downright dangerous, which is why
Which we
a
already
Haitian
know, Mike.
nonprofit
Fascist.
group called the Haitian
Yep,
Bridge
they're
Alliance
fascist.
filed criminal
Here we
charges
go.
against Donald Trump and JD Vance,
You gotta
claiming
press
they're
on to get the
responsible
Snopes
for
link, though.
disrupting public service, making false alarms,
Imagine
committing
waking up to that.
telecommunications harassment, committing
100,000
aggravated menacing, and
births.
violating the prohibition
Imagine waking
against
up to that first
complicity.
thing in the
So they're
morning.
trying to hold Trump accountable for these dangerous lies, and a lot of conservatives, I'm assuming, scoffed
And
at
I'll
these
fit
charges.
3 child
But
seats
one
in the
part
back. Using census data and state year variation in laws, we estimate that when women have 2 children of ages requiring mandated car seats, they have a lower annual probability of giving birth by 0.3 percentage points. Consistent with the casual channel, this effect is limited to third child births, is concentrated in households with access to a car, and is larger when a male is present, when both front seats are likely to be occupied. We estimate that these laws prevented nearly 57 car crash fatalities of children nationwide in 2017. Simultaneously, they led to a permanent reduction of approximately 8,000 births in the same year and 145,000 fewer births since 1980, with 90% of this decline since 2000. Let's see if this guy's a Nazi. Be free, make babies, build stuff, and have fun. This sounds like...
If you press on the tweet, it'll take you to Snopes' article about what
The
Vance
FBI
said.
visited... Oh, he's already been visited. But he's been visited by the FBI?
I mean, are you surprised?
Yeah. Oh, yep, he's using the F. Yes, he just used the treated as the F slur.
There's the actual Snopes
Homeless
tweet.
encampments.
There's the Snopes tweet I was telling you about. And he said on video too.
Yep.
So you ready to facepalm like my mom did this morning?
particular decided to use this opportunity to go.
Yep, IQs. Yep, talking about IQs. I'm looking around at his thing. Yep, dude's a fascist, the nuts. Dude's a fascist. He's talking about IQ. Come on.
Well, we already do that.
Yep, Jewish stuff. Come on, New Hampshire Police Department on fireworks.
Are you surprised?
And Alex Jones is called methyl prostitutes.
Again, are you surprised?
Positive particles. Yep, he's called the LGBT people and Black Lives Matter Baphomets. 80% of crime can be prevented by expelling or executing people with 3+ prison sentences.
I'm surprised.
Leftists will murder you over facts they dislike.
I'm surprised they didn't say just kill all N-words and crime will go down.
Probably.
Man, did you see the other tweet?
So Jeremy Corbyn, the guy who originally did it, is...
Oh, the quarter-in?
Fascist.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, what?
The quarter-in?
Oh, of course, the quarter pounder.
He just wishes he had a quarter pounder.
Yep.
But yeah, look at the other tweet that I showed you. That was a snowfall.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. That is absolutely nuts.
So, are you ready to facepalm like my mom did this morning?
Yep.
Oh, full KKK.
Oh man, can you imagine him seeing that? Uh-oh, I can already see right now. Oh no! Oh no! Is that a full-powered chuckle from me named Walls? No! I'm just a level 1 Blitzy with no defense. No! 500 million damage.
In response. I don't really know how else to describe it.
I bet he'll power out the base like his daddy
should I
Trump
say,
did.
hood off. So in a now deleted tweet by Republican
And he can't be
Congressman
racist
Clay
to walls
Higgins,
unless he wants to be
he
racist
wrote,
against whites,
LOL,
which I wouldn't be
these
surprised if
Haitians are
conservatives were.
wild, eating pets, voodoo, nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh yeah, here we go,
eating
the
pets,
racist
Clay
tweet.
Higgins
Here we go,
say,
rewind that.
hood off. So in a now deleted tweet by Republican Congressman Clay Higgins, he wrote, LOL, these Haitians are wild, eating pets, voodoo, nastiest
voodoo,
country
right?
in the Western Hemisphere,
nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere,
slapstick gangsters, but damned if they don't feel all sophisticated now, filing charges against our president and VP. All these thugs better get their mind right and their ass out of our country before January 20th.
Get out before
and
January
just to remind
20th.
you, a sitting member of Congress made this
Racist
tweet.
everywhere. Let's go.
What the fuck? Like, it's not surprising, for sure, but still, the fact that they're so open with their racism now, the fact that they're so emboldened to say things like this publicly.
This is nothing
They're
new.
always like that.
Do you not remember the Obama years? I remember them. Remember
I
Burferism? Come on, people.
Yep.
Do you all forget this stuff?
He's
I
doubling
remember like it was
down on the
yesterday.
lies about Haitian
It was
immigrants.
fun mocking these people.
He's calling
for
them
8 years
slapstick
straight.
gangsters.
It made my job
He's
much
calling
easier.
them thugs, which we
And
all
then
know
when Kamala
Republicans
wins, it's
use
gonna make
as
our
a
job much
synonym for the
easier laughing
N-word.
at you
He
clowns.
also called Haiti the nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere. And then, to make matters worse, he ended that tweet with a presumed threat. Again, this community is already facing threats of violence, hence why they felt compelled to file those charges in the first place. But this vile piece of shit is threatening to make their lives even worse if Trump is elected. Why? Because they dared to hold Trump and his running mate accountable because he's been
And they
lying
happen to be not
nonstop
white,
about their
of course.
community.
How dare
There
they?
just aren't words to describe how disgusting this person is. Now, the backlash
vote him
was
out,
swift
people.
and severe. Lots of Democrats immediately condemned him, both online and in person. But
Democrats tried to censure him recently, and Republicans had a meltdown over it.
Mike Johnson's reaction to this
they did.
kind of shows you why this type of racism is so common in the Republican Party. It's because they've normalized it, and leadership
Mike, it's
lets
not
them get away
normalized.
with it.
It's always been
Get a
this
load of
way.
this horse shit.
Why is it
Clay
that you
Higgins
people
is
keep
a
denying
good
this is
friend of mine
something
and a
new?
colleague
It's
from Louisiana, and a very outspoken
decades.
person. He's also a very principled man. And I think he tweeted. I didn't even see it, but he tweeted something today about Haitians, and he was approached.
Quit being a cuck, Johnson.
Okay. Well, he was approached on the floor by colleagues who said that was offensive. He went to the back.
It was.
I just talked to him about it. He said he went to the back and he prayed about it, and he regretted it, and he pulled the post down.
Oh, he
That's
prayed
what you
about
want
it
the
and
gentleman
regretted
to
it.
do.
Yeah,
I'm sure he
sure,
probably regrets
pal.
some of the language
Because
he
he's a
used, but,
moron.
you know, we move forward. We believe in redemption around here.
You know, I wonder if you took Clay Higgins' tweet and you replaced Haitian with Christian, would he keep that same energy?
Or or how about the fact that most of these Haitians probably are Christians? After all, they just rebuilt the church in Springfield. But,
Exactly.
they don't like to hear that. They don't want to go to that church now full of those N-words in their eyes.
He tells me he wouldn't. He'd have a completely different standard for somebody who said something about a community that he cares about. But it's cool because Clay Higgins prayed about it. And that's apparently supposed to be good enough, even though he just incited more harassment and potentially violence against this community that is already under attack because of your party.
Yeah.
Do we even get a follow-up prayer from Higgins where he asks God to protect the Haitians that he just put at risk? Do we even get that? Of course not, because Republicans do not hold themselves to the same standard that they expect Democrats to be held to. For example, Trump raised the specter of Hillary Clinton getting assassinated in 2016, saying that the Second Amendment people could do something.
I want them to be enslaved by the Ender Dragon. And I hope the player fails this killing her.
Something about her if she wanted to go after their guns. He also joked about Paul Pelosi getting bludgeoned with a hammer, but yet Democrats correctly call him a threat to democracy after he literally tried to steal the last election and is working to steal the current election. And how does he respond? Well, he blames the assassination attempts on their rhetoric. See, their rhetoric, even though it's not incendiary.
We didn't mention... since the last episode, Trump had like another assassination attempt on him, although nothing happened, so that's why no one's really talked about it. He didn't even get hurt, nothing happened or anything like that, so it's like, whatever, we don't care, just fuck you. And once again, just like the first time, he's blaming Biden-Harris for this again.
Of course he does. Blames him for everything.
Guys, your guys' rhetoric is actually evil and dangerous and encourages violence towards liberals. When we point out that you're a fascist, that is the fact. It's not debatable. Don't like being called a fascist? Stop being a fascist. Don't like being a racist? Stop harassing minorities like the Haitians.
And it's objectively true, leads to violence, but his rhetoric, even though it's bullshit, doesn't matter if it leads to violence, because he's Donald Trump.
Let's not be racist. Challenge impossible.
He is incapable of seeing how his outrageous lies about Haitian immigrants incites harassment and violence against them. He's incapable of seeing that, and even if he could see that, if he had the brain cells that allowed him to see that cause equals effect in this situation, he wouldn't care because this man is a fucking racist. And it's just
I have no idea.
Democrats do seem to want to at least try to hold them accountable.
Everything else.
But Stephen Horsford, who is the Democratic member of the House, who tried to introduce a resolution to censure Higgins, which is the course of action for the time being. He tried to do that, and then watch what happened.
I ask unanimous consent to accept my motion to censor Representative Clay Higgins for violating Rule 9 by bringing discredit and disgrace to the House of Representatives.
An objection is heard. For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana seek recognition?
Who cares what this Karen
First of all,
thinks?
the tweet has been deleted already and removed, but I object to the motion. And if we want to go through
why more
from the other side,
racist piece of shit.
Put on your Klan outfit.
They can't even pretend to not be racist during an election year when it would behoove them to do so. Yet this party is still politically viable somehow. It doesn't make sense. In a sane world, they would have no chance ever
Just do it,
in any election.
Watch interracial
Even
porn.
with our fucked electoral system. But here we are. And that's not to say that I agree with everything that Democrats do, because you all know I have my criticisms of Democrats
and this was like 100 years ago.
But this party is so off the rails, so extreme, so outside the norm of what is...
Yeah, guys, the KKK probably don't know. It wasn't just they didn't just hate blacks, they hated pretty much everyone that wasn't a WASP. And that means they hate Catholics too.
Expected of a normal and sane political party, comparatively speaking, that they should never, ever be able to win any election. But they do.
They want to see
and
two
the sad part is that a lot of
other.
Americans will hear that rhetoric
that's
and
what
they'll
they
cheer it
want.
on because they're as
They love
racist
it.
as Republicans. So this is disgusting, but I mean it's par for the course. This party is a racist party.
Yep.
But
that's what they
they're
want.
just kind of going
want to see
put
it
off
as a
these
hentai.
days. Clay Higgins is just saying the quiet part loud. And you know, when people tell you who they are, you should
They
believe
want to
them.
see interracial gangbangs too.
Yeah, that's what they want. Yeah, that's pretty much.
And they're jealous that we're funny and they're not. I mean, it's not that hard to be funny. It's pretty easy. I don't know how you all can't do it and I can do it casually like that. So yeah, we gotta say them being as racist as possible to Haitians once again.
No surprise. No fucking surprise.
Alright, so now, on to the next topic.
That is the second last one. Nintendo suing Power World and trying to kill Power World and their people.
Because they're jealous. So, of course, guys, this happened recently. For all of you who don't know, Power World is a video game that came out earlier this year. It is awesome. If any of you follow video games enough, I'm sure you heard it's Pokemon with guns, as how it's always been referred to as. Now,
It seems like it's taken Pokemon, but it's thrown aspects of Digimon in as well.
well, as someone who's played it since May and just started a YouTube series recently on it, I could be more specific on it. I would say it's Pokemon combined with Monster Hunter and Minecraft. In other words, awesome.
Okay.
And that's why I told you, you need to get in, we need to do a world together. That's fun. It's addictive. So yeah, it's awesome. It's so good that back in February, just 1 month after the game came out, it sold over 25 million copies.
Wow.
And that was in February.
That's epic.
Now imagine numbers now. It's probably 30, if not maybe a good estimate, 40 million. And let's just say, put that in perspective of Pokemon, I think that would be the second highest selling game compared to the main series behind only Red, Blue, and Yellow. So of course, since the game of course was compared to Pokemon, oh god, I remember this back in January and February, idiot hardcore Nintendo and Pokemon fanboys wanted Nintendo to sue them for copyright infringement because they're stealing PAL ideas.
25 million, right?
25 million copies back in February. So
okay, so just based on that, it's third, just edging out Scarlet and Violet. And if it's gotten more than 1.27 million more purchases since then, it'll be in second ahead of Sword and Shield. But it still has 5 million to go to catch up to Red, Blue, and Green.
Yep, but
again, this is also from March 2024, so all the others would have gone up as well. So they're probably somewhere in between Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield.
But think of that. Swish and SV had years. Power World only did that in a month. So I think the odds are most likely Power World probably did beat that or close to it by now. But either way, Nintendo and Pokemon fanboys wanted Nintendo to sue them for stealing Pokemon ideas. Because, you know, people... You can't think of... because coincidences or whatever can't just happen or whatever. We gotta make up excuses. It's not like Pokemon potentially stole ideas from Dragon Quest. Oh, wait, they did. Oh. But see, we don't like it when it goes after Pokemon, so we'll just brush it off. But of course, Nintendo didn't do anything about it at the time, so we just ignored it and just went on with our lives. But just last week, Nintendo did sue Power World's creators. Now, it was not for copyright or trademark reasons, so they're not going after them for stealing PALs, which idiot Nintendo and Pokemon fanboys wanted. Instead, they're going after them for patent infringement. Which we don't know what that is yet, because they're not saying, so we don't know exactly what patent it could be. But there's rumors that they think it's based upon how you catch Pokemon in PLA and all that. Who knows? We need to wait and see before we can speculate.
Yeah, we need to wait until that. Need to know what.
But yeah, and to make matters worse, unfortunately, for Power World, they, like Nintendo, are a Japanese company. And unfortunately, as we've mentioned before, Japan is hardcore, more extreme when it comes to like copyright and patents and whatever than America is. they actually treat patents and stuff more seriously. They treat patents for like video game mechanics and all that seriously, whereas America, they would not be able to get away with it. I was so hoping, because I could have swore, seeing like the names of like the developers, and I could have swore that Power World might have been Chinese, but unfortunately it's not. They're Japanese, so they got to deal with the wrath of Nintendo fully and not having the backup being somewhere else to avoid it. So we don't know exactly what would happen. We don't know what it is about, and who knows what it could be. Nothing could happen. Something minor. It could be, who knows? Maybe it'll be something extreme, like the Power World has to be taken down.
It might be something like really small and technical they could do.
Imagine having to be that much of a patent troll in order to go for something that obscure over nothing. My God, how much of a Karen are you?
You don't know. You don't know at the moment. I'm trying to look around right now, just seeing what.
But Nintendo hasn't said what it is yet, and Power World doesn't know anything about it yet. But my main concern is, what if they went all the way and somehow successfully took Power World down? Does that mean all of us who have it on Steam, do we get our copies taken away? Which that would be unacceptable, and I would want my money back if that was the case. And that's wrong if they did that. So, yeah, what do you guys say about this so far? To me, it just sounds like they're just jealous that Power World was so good.
Yes, and that's because they're pieces of shit and racist.
Well, it is Japan, so I'm not surprised. F no state all the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nintendo. Maybe if you didn't shit the bed with LGPE, Swish, BDSP, SV, PLA, and AZ coming up, maybe people wouldn't have a funner time with Power World and all that.
Maybe if you weren't racist against your international fans, maybe you'd be good.
Maybe if you didn't cut the national decks or got forced the EXP share on us, maybe you would do better.
At least for the EXP, allow the EXP share. At least there should be like, you can turn it on and off if you want.
That's why I said forced.
Yeah.
And all. Maybe
that's the thing. Like the problem I found was what was I going to say?
Maybe
the problem that I'm having is with is that it's also how much experience you get. 38%. Like, over a third, that's way too much. It's like, I actually checked. The XP all in Gen 1, do you want to know what the percentage each Pokemon gets?
It's split evenly. So if you have a full team, it's 1/6.
Yeah.
And man, it takes forever to train up.
Yeah. The thing I figure is if that's when I ever do yellow again, what I probably do is turn it on basically for Koga, so I can get closer to Koga and Sabrina. Because I remember one time I played through it, I was about level 30, I think I was, when I left Erica. I took on all the trainers. I took on the Pokemon Tower. I took on all the trainers. I took on the Fighting Dojo. And I drove Team Rocket out of Saffron City. I was only in the high 30s.
That's usually where I'm at for me, when I face Erica, I'm like in the high 20s. By the time I get facing Koga, which is Pokemon Tower, Psycho Road, the trainers around Safari Zone, I'm like in the low 30s. And then when I get to Sabrina, I'm in the high 30s. That's normal to me, and I don't use the EXP share at all, because I'm based and good. And remember, I change my team after each gym leader.
Yeah, I know you do. You do. I usually don't.
That's probably why.
I found that while I played Scarlet, I often did. Changed up team members, not so much for, like, I had my base, a rough base team I'd be slowly building on, but yeah, I'd change it around for the
swapping teams for each gym leader is big brain move.
Not for the gym leader. The guys with the vehicles. You know which ones I mean, the guys with the vehicles.
You mean Team Star?
Yes, Team Star.
Maybe.
Because my God, they're annoying.
Maybe you should play like me then. You'll realize, it's not that hard.
No, it's not. It's just more annoying.
But making new teams is fun, though. Sounds like you and other people in the Pokemon Red have skill issues, unlike me.
I could probably do it. No. For me, no. It's It's not skill issue for me. It's patience issue. As you know, I'm impatient.
It's fun training Pokemon now. And people think I'm weirdo for thinking it's fun to train Pokemon.
I know it is for you, but not so much for me.
That's so funny. But yeah, we're getting off topic on that. So we gotta say about the lawsuit, though.
Let's find out why the fuck they're doing this is before we can say too much.
Either way, I'm pretty much in the board of just fuck Nintendo anyway. I don't care if they're valid or not. Fuck off, leave Power World alone, stop being salty, and deal with it. And no, to a lot of people, because I've seen a lot of people also say they want like Pokemon to become Power World and all that. Look, I love Pokemon Power World. Let's just keep them separate for what it is. I don't want Pokemon to become Power World. The transition to open world was already bad enough. We don't need to do what Power World does. Just keep it separate, people, please. Just no. But yeah, fuck Nintendo, leave Power World alone, and stay salty. And you need to play it too, it's awesome! You want to beat up pals with a bat, and then eat them. And yes, you do that. I don't know why they're so butthurt over it. Oh my god. So yeah, we gotta say, you support Power World like me or what?
Kinda, maybe.
It's 100% yes! And you must play it, it's awesome! Unless your computer is a toast that can't handle it.
I'll see. I'm doing a lot of, so remember that really crazy world I had? Where you had the endless mine shaft? Or mine shafts over the course of thousands of, where there was an entire row of endless mine shafts.
You mean in Minecraft?
In Minecraft, yeah. Still works in 1.21. And oh my god, and I found out it's actually a bugged one. Because of the, because it's not actually meant to go the way it is.
That reminds me, you need to try out Cobblemon too, and maybe do Pixelmon again. Yay!
Possibly.
Good fun times. But yeah, we're talking too much about Pokemon to the Power and all that. Fuck you, Nintendo. Yeah. Let's get on to the last topic already.
CNN inciting violence against Rashida Tlaib.
Of course, guys. They just lied. CNN just lied about Rashida Tlaib recently, saying that, she said someone can't be a judge or whatever fairly because they're Jewish and such. Something that she never said because they want to assume everyone is anti-Semitic. And yeah, it was pretty bad to say the least. So let's watch this cap. Oh god, this is so bad.
Do you think Attorney General Nessel is not doing her job? Because Congresswoman Tlaib is suggesting that she shouldn't be prosecuting these individuals that Nessel says broke the law, and that she's only doing it because she's Jewish and the protesters are not. That's quite an accusation. Do you think it's true?
I can't hear it. What do I do? Don't bump or dilute.
That is quite the accusation. The problem, however, is that Rashida Tlaib did not make that accusation against Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, and I know that Jake Tapper knows that she didn't say that because before he implied that it was a fact that she made that accusation, he read the quote from her where she doesn't make the accusation that he claims she made.
Your state's Attorney General Dana Nessel charged almost a dozen individuals from the University of Michigan over the anti-Israel protests. Among the charges, attempted ethnic intimidation, assaulting or obstructing a police officer, and on and on. These are pro-Palestinian protesters who are being punished and prosecuted. Michigan Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who is Palestinian, she called the charges from Nessel, who is Jewish, shameful, and Tlaib said, quote, "It seems that the Attorney General decided if the issue was Palestine, she was going to treat it differently.
Trying to get Rashida Tlaib hurt or worse.
Possible biases within the agency she
God, there's
runs,
almost, you can almost,
responded.
do you think Rashida Tlaib would have grounds for legal action?
No idea. You know how hard it is in America.
By saying, quote, Rashida Tlaib should not use my religion to imply
then again, it's
I
happening
cannot
with Trump
perform my job
because they're
fairly
racist.
as Attorney General.
Yep.
It's anti-Semitic and wrong, unquote. Do you think that Tlaib's suggestion that Nessel's office is biased was anti-Semitic?
Notice how you moved the goalpost there. He asked whether or not Tlaib's claim was anti-Semitic, then subsequently stated it was anti-Semitic as if it were a fact. Now, the reason why he had to ask that question twice was because Governor Whitmer didn't take the bait initially, and she kind of swatted aside the question. That is, until she presumably received pressure to condemn Tlaib after CNN turned that supposed quote from her into a big debacle, which is when Whitmer then explicitly condemned Tlaib for something she didn't actually say that CNN said she said. But in an interview with A.G. Nessel, Jake Tapper admitted that he made a little bit of an oopsie.
I should note that I misspoke yesterday when asking a follow-up of Governor Whitmer, who I asked about this. I was trying to characterize your views of Tlaib's comments. What do you make of those today, noting that Congresswoman Tlaib never explicitly said that your bias was because of your religion, and so it's unfair for you to make that allegation?
Listen, we all make mistakes. I've had to correct myself on this show after misspeaking or saying something incorrect. It happens. What matters is that you correct the record and try your best to undo the damage that you inadvertently caused, and more importantly, you apologize for misleading your viewers. Now, what Jake Tapper did there, I guess it's better than nothing, but he should have apologized, and I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch to just say that he misspoke. I think that's probably true.
No, he did not misspoke because he's an anti-Arab piece of shit who wants to,
I don't like that people don't like gay people. Who's trying to incite violence. And said Jake Tapper said he doesn't like gay people.
You're trying to become Trump there,
Maybe I
Tapper?
misspoke, but that's kind of a big thing. Like, I'm fundamentally transforming what he's saying, and while it's based on a kernel of truth, I took it out of context and I changed the meaning of what he said. I feel like that requires more than just saying, oopsie, I misspoke. It requires an apology because you just defamed the person you're talking about.
And
you said
she said something she didn't actually you're a piece of shit.
Something that is disgraceful. Now, the problem is that CNN took Jake Tapper's mischaracterization of Tlaib's comments and they turned it into an entire thing and just pretended as if she said something she didn't say, and they based it off of Jake Tapper's claim. But to be fair, I don't think that that lie originated with CNN, even though they did popularize it. And Dana Nessel's original assertion seemingly came from a different mischaracterization of Tlaib's remarks from a state senator and journalist, John Krishar of Jewish Insider, who mischaracterized Tlaib's comments in his own piece and then quietly edited his article from Tlaib, quote, claimed to Tlaib, quote, suggested Dana Nessel only prosecuted protesters because she's Jewish, which is still blatantly dishonest because she's not suggesting that at all, but it's still a major difference. And like Dana Nessel, Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL also seized on that mischaracterization and linked to Krishar's article while condemning Tlaib on Twitter in a now deleted tweet. And on top of that, he attacked Gretchen Whitmer for not explicitly condemning Tlaib, which in part is why I think she caved, but then later had to issue a clarification himself after realizing that Krishar edited his original piece to make it more ambiguously defamatory as opposed to being just explicitly misleading and defamatory. But the sad irony about all of this is that this story started with a racist attack on Rashida Tlaib, specifically this cartoon by Henry Payne that was published in Detroit News, where he jokes about Tlaib's pager blowing up, which not only makes light of an assassination attempt against her, and she's had death threats, by the way.
Yeah, for all of you who don't know, a few days ago, Israel did a massive attack on Hezbollah, which of course led to civilians getting killed, which is unacceptable, where they blow up Hezbollah pagers and walkie-talkies and all that over several days. And just recently did a massive strike on Hezbollah, which of course blew up a whole bunch of apartment complexes, so I'm sure they killed a whole bunch of innocent people, of course, as always. So, yeah. Of course, no surprise. You're Palestinian. You're an Arab? You deserve to have your pager blow up.
But it also insinuates that she's a terrorist, and Dana Nessel exploited that cartoon and tried to make it about herself and wanted to seem like she was a bigger person than Tlaib. But it was all based on a non-existent claim that is so egregious that the journalist from the original article where Tlaib's quote supposedly came from felt compelled to come out and fact-check everyone who's lying about what she said. In a new article from Metro Times, Steve Neveling writes, fact-check, Tlaib did not say Nessel charged pro-Palestinian protesters because she's Jewish. The quote blatant and hateful false claims were peddled by a state lawmaker, the Attorney General, and some media outlets. Now he goes on to explain, Tlaib pointed out that Nessel, who has been in office since January of 2019, has not filed charges against protesters opposed to racism, police brutality, water shutoffs, and environmental contamination. Tlaib never once mentioned Nessel's religion or Judaism, but Metro Times pointed out in the story that Nessel is Jewish, and that appears to be the spark that led to the false claims. It should also be noted that the ACLU of Michigan criticized Nessel for charging peaceful protesters at the University of Michigan. What Tlaib actually said was, it seems that the Attorney General decided if the issue was Palestine, she was going to treat it differently, and that alone speaks volumes about possible biases within the agency she runs. Tlaib was referring to anti-Palestinian attitudes. Institutions throughout the U.S. have disproportionately sided with Israel, and many of them are not run by Jewish people. Now, I appreciate him making this clarification, because if you look at the tweet from Michigan State Senator Jeremy Moss, he seemingly thought that Tlaib was criticizing Nessel because she's Jewish, since Nievling brought it up in the original piece, but it's not something that Tlaib mentioned at all. She is criticizing Nessel on the substance, not because she's Jewish. And if you dig just a little bit below the surface, you'll quickly realize that Nessel deserves all the criticism in the world, not because she's Jewish, obviously, but because she is a terrible attorney general, okay? A day before her original interview with the Metro Times, Tlaib tweeted this: the AG failed to deliver justice for the victims of the Flint water crisis, but has time to bring frivolous charges that only serve to silence those speaking out against the genocidal apartheid regime. This shameful attack on students' rights will fail. Follow the Constitution. And we don't talk about this enough, but Dana Nessel is the Attorney General who dismissed charges from the criminals responsible for the deadly Flint water crisis in Michigan. And she just chose to start from scratch for no reason, just undo all the progress that her predecessor made. It was one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in our country's history, and she bears much of the blame for the fact that essentially the criminals that poisoned 100,000 people in Flint, Michigan were able to get away with murder and the subsequent cover-up that they engaged in. But yet, she's choosing to prosecute peaceful protesters. That is deeply disturbing. Yet, Rashida Tlaib is the one that gets accused of anti-Semitism for calling that out, and on top of that, words were put in her mouth by bad faith actors who wanted to purposefully defame her. And even though Jake Tapper corrected the record, the problem is that it was already too late. His colleague Dana Bash used Jake Tapper's mischaracterization of Tlaib's quote as evidence that she definitely said something anti-Semitic.
And now to a sad reality, and that is anti-Semitism is everywhere. And it comes from both ends of the political spectrum.
Islamophobia is
sometimes
evil.
sidestep calling it out when it comes from a member of their own party. We saw two examples on State of the Union yesterday. First, with Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, when my co-anchor, Jake Tapper, asked about a Democratic Congresswoman's accusation that the state's Jewish Attorney General was letting her religion influence her job.
Do you think that Tlaib's suggestion that Nessel's office is biased was anti-Semitic?
Listen, Jake, you know what? All I can say is that I know that our Jewish community is in pain, as is our Palestinian and Muslim and Arab communities in Michigan.
Congresswoman Tlaib is suggesting that she shouldn't be prosecuting these individuals that Nessel says broke the law, and that she's only doing it because she's Jewish. And the protesters are not. That's quite an accusation. Do you think it's true?
It's not like she didn't say it.
Oh, wait, she did. I'm not going to get in the middle of this argument that they're having.
Because Tlaib
and then there was
base,
this exchange
and you're
with
all
Republican Senator Tom Cotton.
Are you comfortable with that? With Donald Trump saying if he loses preemptively,
it's
the fault of
Tom Cotton recently
the Jews are already
deflected about
experiencing
Trump's
a rise in
anti-Semitism.
anti-Semitism in this country from the left and the right, but still, preemptively, it's the fault of the Jews.
Because conservatives are always denying their
Donald Trump has
anti-Semitism.
been saying things like this for at least 11 months since the October 7th attack.
I've never heard you say anything like that. If we
I
lose,
saw this
it'll be
video.
the
He
fault
just
of
kept
the Jews.
denying it forever and ever and ever. He was like Joe Stein in this video.
Anyone who cares about Israel, anyone who cares about the fate of the U.S.-Israel alliance should vote for him.
How hard is it for you to condemn anti-Semitism in the Republican Party? Oh, that's right. You can't because you guys are full of them. You probably are too.
Just yes or no. Are you comfortable with him using that language?
Will you just say yes or no? It's not hard. And of course he can't do it again, just like Joe Stein couldn't do it.
His point
of course they never
he's the
can.
most pro-Israel president we've ever had.
Now, Jake asked that question over and over again. Senator Cotton never answered. Now, Cotton has spoken out when it appears to come from the political left. He actually tweeted, "There's no place for anti-Semitism in America," when Jake posted about people harassing yours truly at a book event. CNN's David Chalian is back with me. I was grateful for that, as anybody who is the subject and the victim of anti-Semitism, hate, or any other hate. And the key is, which we have learned the hard way, is you've got to call it out no matter where it comes from.
That's pretty despicable. But Dana Bash was so proud of her attempt at both sides.
That is actual incitement of violence.
She is drawing a direct comparison between Donald Trump, a fascist, and Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in Congress. And her point, obviously, is that partisan politics shouldn't come before condemnations of hate, and Gretchen Whitmer's refusal to call out Tlaib's so-called anti-Semitism is as detestable as Tom Cotton's unwillingness to call out Trump's anti-Semitism. Now, it'd be a fine point to make if Tlaib actually said what they accused her of saying, but again, she did not say that, and as a result, they minimized the actual anti-Semitism by Donald Trump that is blatant and dangerous.
Which we
and
just
they didn't play his
earlier.
remarks for some reason, but he basically preemptively blamed Jewish people for his defeat.
But I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right, but you haven't been treated right because you're putting yourself in great danger. In my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with the loss. If I'm at 40%, if I'm at 4, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala, who in particular is a bad Democrat. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful vote-wise. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. Who would have thought that was going to happen? What the hell happened to him?
Wow.
I saw him the other day. He was dressed in one of their robes.
Palestinians
That'll be next.
Dana Bash is trying to draw an equivalence between that anti-Semite and the only Palestinian American in Congress. Now, it's not surprising, since we're talking about the same CNN anchor who compared anti-genocide student protesters, many of whom were Jewish, to the KKK, but the difference here is that she's targeting one member of Congress who is already the subject of harassment and death threats.
Bash, you got the
she's
party
called a
wrong.
terrorist.
The
She's called a
KKK are the
Hamas
Republicans
supporter.
here.
So what Dana Bash and CNN engaged in here isn't just defamatory, it's dangerous. It's a Fox News level lie
violence,
that her network
They have an
propagated. But
orangutan and a
regardless,
couch rapist
her and her
as
guest David
members.
Chalian went on to talk about how cowardly it was for Whitmer to not unequivocally condemn the fake thing that they said Tlaib said.
You're putting politics ahead of principle and morality. And that's what both of them did there. It's not very hard to say that Rashida Tlaib saying that Dana Nessel is pursuing charges because she's Jewish is an anti-Semitic thing to say. It is.
But she didn't say that, you dumb fuck.
That Donald Trump should not be pointing fingers at the Jewish people if he loses this election. So it's pretty easy to call out. Obviously, they didn't want to take on their
Not
own
easy
party.
for Republicans to call Trump.
Party
That's
interviewed Hillary Clinton
impossible.
this weekend, and they had a
That's an
fascinating
impossible
exchange
challenge.
about Hillary Clinton's perception about those campus protests when she was teaching at Columbia last year in the aftermath of October 7th. She had no problem calling it out, even though some of those young supporters may have been Democrats in their political ideology, calling that out as something other than critiquing the Israeli government as what it was, which was, some anti-Semitism coursing through that.
Well, I mean, if war criminal and genocide supporter Hillary Clinton makes a sweeping generalization about college students she hates, I guess everyone else should lead by her example. Cool. Now, after dedicating a good portion of her time to defaming Tlaib, Dana Bash was also forced to issue a clarification the following day after being shamed for lying about Rashida Tlaib.
A clarification on a story we brought you yesterday concerning Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's comments attacking a decision by Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel to bring charges against pro-Palestinian protesters at the University of Michigan. Tlaib accused Nessel of, quote, biases. Here's Tlaib's full quote to the Detroit Metro Times. It seems that the Attorney General decided if the issue was Palestine, she was going to treat it differently. And that alone speaks volumes about possible biases within the agency she runs. Now, Tlaib did not reference Nessel's Jewish identity. Her office has not responded to our request for clarity. Her allies insist that's not what she meant. But Nessel still says she believes it is anti-Semitic and repeated on CNN
Shut up,
yesterday that,
Karen.
quote, clearly she's referencing my religion.
I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but still, no apology.
Exactly, everything.
And
Yeah,
she's
which is
heavily
horrible.
implying
And you want, you know that you want Rashida Tlaib to be attacked and killed
And you
because
think
you think she's a Nazi terrorist, subhuman.
You think everyone is Jackson Dinkelberg and Trump.
Anti-Semitic.
That's on the pro-Palestinian
Even though the
side.
journalist that interviewed her specifically came out and said she was talking about the institutional bias against Palestinians propagated by everyone in government. But since Dana Nessel, who was also lied to about her original quote by a different journalist, thinks that it was anti-Semitic, well, you know, it's an open question, even though she did not say the thing that you are still insisting she said. It's outrageous to me. Even though Jake Tapper and Dana Bash both issued half-assed clarifications, it's still really sad that we've reached this point where some CNN anchors are choosing to traffic in lies as blatant as Fox News. That's what that is. And I'm not saying that Rashida Tlaib is above criticism, obviously. Of course, CNN is well within their right to criticize her and any other politician they see fit, but that criticism should be grounded in objective reality and not based on fabricated bullshit because you hate her.
Lamestream media
I mean,
strikes
thanks for the
again.
clarifications, I guess. But maybe try to do better and actually learn from this, and more importantly,
good, as we say in the
apologize
gaming community.
for defaming her. This is going to cause hate and harassment. It probably already did, and you just kind of saying, yeah, we kind of messed up, but we're moving on. I feel like that's not sufficient. More is necessary. An apology at a minimum is required from you and the entire network, because what you did is slander Rashida Tlaib. And there needs to be real accountability aside from the little half-assed fucking clarification or this admission that you misspoke.
They want Arabs dead because they're genocidal Zion Nazi terrorists and terrorists who are also murder hobos.
We must get revenge for 9/11 still, don't you know? Ha 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 ha. So yeah, what do you guys say about them lying about Tlaib, as they always do, because they always lie about the squad?
Yep.
And then you have Dumb Dumb And then you have Dumb Dumb Leftists that lie about them on Twitter, remember?
Yep.
Like them having a meltdown about AOC recently.
Yeah, for fuck's sakes.
So yeah, stop being dumb fucks like CNN and all that. Tlaib's base, and the courts and all them treat Palestinian protesters like shit. Deal with it, it's a fact, and cope. So yeah, and with that, we finally got through all the topics. Alright, so see you all next time for episode 113.
Boom.